Chapter 1759. Right now, Qin Wentian's eyes were cold. The serving girl naturally saw it, but she still had a professional smile on her face. Although it wasn't sincere, it was hard to find any fault with it. She could naturally sense that the person before her was a world overlord, but she didn't feel anything. How could a world overlord be so rare to work in a place like the Heaven Immortal Tower? She could see them every day. Those who could come to the Heaven Immortal Tower were usually led by world overlords. Also, the items she sold were worth over 10,000 world stones, and the customers she came in contact with were all extraordinary. Ordinary world overlords wouldn't be able to afford them. Hence, to her, although world overlords were seniors, they didn't cause her to feel any fear. In addition, the background of the Heaven Immortal Tower was already so powerful. There were already several world overlords in charge here. What do you mean? Qin Wentian coldly asked. Senior is referring to? The serving girl smiled as she replied, pretending that the earlier incident didn't happen at all. What do you think? Qin Wentian's voice grew colder by several degrees. Senior is referring to the incident earlier? The serving girl smiled. My apologies, this robe truly cannot be touched. If a finger mark is left behind, it might affect the desire of other customers. This is the rule here. I hope Senior won't take offense. If it cannot be touched, you can tell her. Given your cultivation base and reaction speed, you can use many gentle methods to stop her. Berating a customer, is this the attitude you should have? Qin Wentian questioned. Senior, please don't blame me. Before this, I've already apologized. The serving girl still had a smile on her face. Is that the attitude you should have when apologizing? Qin Wentian stared at her. Senior, what do you want me to do? The serving girl also seemed to be angered. She inclined her head and stared straight into Qin Wentian's eyes. She didn't expect that a conflict would occur. This was something she didn't want to see the most. She could naturally feel that although Qin Wentian was amiable and approachable, he was actually a very proud person. He was also very amiable to the people around him. However, she also sensed that the people around him either loved him deeply or were very respectful to him. Such a person must be a top character in the outside world, holding a high position. How could he not seek an explanation for his wife being berated by someone else? However, the Heaven Immortal Tower wasn't an ordinary place. It was fine if this serving girl admitted her mistake. But from her attitude, it was clear that she didn't intend to admit her mistake at all. She was worried that this serving girl might have some sort of background, hence she arranged for her to work in the Heaven Immortal Tower. After all, the commission rate for working here was extremely terrifying. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to enter this place. If this was the case and neither side compromised, the matter would definitely be blown out of proportion. Although Qin Wentian was reasonable, it was not something that could be explained with reason. Bow and apologize to my wife, and I'll let it go, Qin Wentian said lightly. Forgive me for not being able to comply with Senior's request. The serving girl domineeringly replied. The pressure from Qin Wentian gushed forth, boring down on the serving girl. The serving girl only felt an extreme pressure and her expression instantly turned unsightly. I'm just doing things according to the rules. Senior, why are you bullying me like this? Are you purely here to create trouble? She instantly retorted, saying that Qin Wentian was the one creating trouble. Also, Qin Wentian was at the World Overlord realm. If he said that he was bullying a woman at the Empyrean realm, it would truly be unreasonable. It would seem like she was the one who was wronged. Sir, what are you doing? At this moment, a voice rang out. With a flash of light, a black-robed middle-aged man appeared here. There were two people behind him and all of them were staring at Qin Wentian. The black-robed middle-aged man was the manager of the Heaven Immortal Tower and was responsible for maintaining order here. But usually, there wouldn't be any incidents in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Usually, he would be in meditation and it was only because someone interrupted him earlier that he came here. 3 world overlords. Qin Wentian glanced at them and instantly knew that these 3 were all world overlords. This was especially so for the black-robed middle-aged man in the lead. He gave off an extraordinary feeling and was definitely very powerful. If not, although the Heaven Immortal Tower had a powerful background, there would occasionally be troublesome matters that would occur. They needed experts who could handle them. Old Hua, this young miss wanted to touch the divine robe but was stopped by me. Hence, this senior came here to question me, wanting me to bow and apologize. The serving girl spoke. Old Hua nodded. Sir, it's true that some valuable treasures of the Heaven Immortal Tower are forbidden to be touched. I hope you can understand. Did you speak out to stop her? Clearly, you were coldly berating her and even released your aura. How imposing, but now, you are speaking in such an aggrieved manner. Mo Qingqing's matter naturally should be handled by Qin Wenyan. However, Jun Mingchen truly couldn't bear to watch this anymore. Hence yes, this woman was really good at acting. Is there such a thing? Old Hua asked the serving girl. I didn't do it intentionally, I only shouted it out due to the circumstances. My voice was slightly loud and I've already said my apologies. The serving girl continued. No matter what, she was still an Empyrean expert and naturally wouldn't be so foolish to the point of showing her disdain and insulting Mo Qingqing. But in her heart and in her eyes, there was no way for her to express her disdain. Qin Wenyan and the others could all feel it. She was in the wrong in this matter, but since she has already apologized, I hope that you won't take this matter to heart. If she has disturbed your mood, please forgive us. Old Hua nodded to Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan was also a world overlord. Although the Heaven Immortal Tower didn't really care about this, they wouldn't intentionally offend a customer. If this matter was to spread out, their reputation wouldn't be good. Hence, they still had to say some polite words. In that case, according to Sir's meaning, she berated my wife and released her aura to threaten me. Yet, she just said her apologies and let it go? Also, when she said the word, sorry, her head was still held high with a smile on her face. Qin Wenyan asked, Sir, please don't blame her for her rudeness. When I return, I will definitely make her change her attitude. Old Hua replied. But in truth, what he said was equivalent to not saying anything. His meaning was that Qin Wenyan shouldn't pursue this matter anymore and he would teach her a lesson when they return. But who would know what would happen in the future? Wenyan, forget it. Qingqing tugged on Qin Wenyan's sleeves as she spoke in a low voice. She knew what place this was. In Time City, experts were as common as the clouds. World overlords could be seen everywhere. The Heaven Immortal Tower had so many treasures for sale here. How could their background not be deep? She naturally didn't wish for Qin Wenyan to cause trouble because of her. Qin Wenyan turned his gaze to Qingqing as he spoke gently, just leave it to me. Qingqing started. She felt warmth in her heart but she didn't say anything more. Sir, you mean that we should forget about this matter just like that? Qin Wenyan glanced at Old Hua. Upon seeing that Qin Wenyan wasn't willing to let things go, Old Hua frowned. There were already many experts gathered in the surroundings. This wouldn't have a good influence on the Heaven Immortal Tower. He then spoke, Sir, why must you do this? You are affecting the business of my Heaven Immortal Tower. Seems like I'm in the wrong. Qin Wenyan had a self-mocking smile. He took out an interspatial ring and passed it to Old Hua. Take a look and see if the ores inside are enough to buy 20,000 world stones. Old Hua froze. Wasn't Qin Wenyan's attitude changing a little too quickly? However, he still accepted the interspatial ring and examined it. After which, he nodded his head. Just a rough estimate should be enough. I'll get someone to calculate it. There's no need. I want this robe. Qin Wenyan pointed to the divine concealment robe. This scene caused many people to have expressions of amazement on their faces. What a generous spending, directly spending 20,000 world stones. Not only that, it was for the sake of the woman beside him. Such a spending could be considered extremely extravagant. The countenance of that serving girl also changed. She was somewhat taken aback. Before this, when Qin and Mo Qingqing heard the price, they immediately said that they should leave. At that time, she already thought that they were frightened by the price. She didn't expect that this young man before her could really afford it. Why are you still not taking it out? Qin Wenyan glanced at the serving girl. The serving girl smiled, using such a method to regain face. But in any case, she had already earned quite a lot. She smiled and took the divine concealment robe, passing it to Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan didn't stretch his hands out to receive it. His cold eyes stared at the serving girl. "Did I say you can use your hands to take it out?" The serving girl started. After that, her expression changed as though she realized something. But before she could react, she only saw a huge hand swinging towards her. Pack! A crisp sound rang out. The serving girl was directly flung through the air, slamming into the wall. Her originally beautiful face instantly turned red as a palm print could be seen on it. However, the divine concealment robe in her hands was already in Qin Wentian's hands. This sudden change caused everyone to be stunned. Old Hua and the other two world overlords instantly unleashed their cold auras, enveloping Qin Wentian and the others. "Sir, you are truly insolent. You actually dared to cause trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower." Old Hua coldly spoke. Qin Wentian similarly unleashed his own aura. Bright light flashed as he stood before the three world overlords, enduring the pressure. "Sir, your words are truly laughable. Before this, the divine concealment robe belonged to the Heaven Immortal Tower and my wife was rudely berated when she tried to touch it. Now, this treasure belongs to me, but that woman actually used her hands to touch it. Can I teach her a lesson? Could it be that the status of a serving girl in the Heaven Immortal Tower is higher than that of a customer?" Qin Wentian's words actually caused Old Hua to be stunned. He had no way to refute. Although he felt that this logic was a little twisted, could it be that the serving girl of the Heaven Immortal Tower could do this, but he couldn't? This was telling him that since he didn't want to teach his woman a lesson, he would teach her a lesson for him. However, using 20,000 world stones to teach a serving girl a lesson was truly generous. Yi Zi, who was at the side, felt her heart pounding. This fellow Qin Wenyan was truly too crazy. This place was the Heaven Immortal Tower. She felt extremely anxious in her heart. If this matter blew up, it would be extremely disadvantageous to Qin Wenyan. She was starting to regret bringing Qin Wenyan to the Heaven Immortal Tower. "That slut naturally can't be compared to me." That serving girl stood up. Her expression was cold to the extreme as terrifying flames flickered in her eyes. She was actually slapped in public by someone. This was simply a great humiliation. After being humiliated like this, she no longer cared about her rationality. Chapter 1760. She was merely a world overlord. Although she was just a serving girl, it was just like what Yi Zifeng had guessed. Serving girls who could work in the Heaven Immortal Tower would usually have an extraordinary background. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, there were many powerful powers that were half clans and half sections. The core of these powers was the clan, but they didn't reject accepting powerful geniuses from other clans. There were disciples, subordinates, servants, etc. After countless years of accumulation, they would eventually form into a supreme power. The controller of the Heaven Immortal Tower was an extremely famous power in Time City, the Dragon Pool Manor. The number of experts there were as many as the clouds, and there were even quite a few at the World Overlord realm. The Dragon Pool Manor Lord was none other than the clan leader of the Dragon Pool Manor. His authority towered up into the sky. In Time City, there was no one who didn't know of the Dragon Pool Manor. This serving girl was named Jin Ji. Her name was derived from the Chinese characters golden branches and jade leaves. Her beauty was truly outstanding, but she herself didn't have an illustrious background. However, she relied on her beauty and methods to climb up to the Dragon Pool Manor behind the Heaven Immortal Tower. She was the girlfriend of a young genius world overlord from the Dragon Pool Manor. Hence, she, who had an ordinary background, could work in the Heaven Immortal Tower and earn a high salary to support her cultivation. Naturally, although she was his girlfriend, she also understood that the other party only wanted her to please him because he was in a good mood. Although she had fantasized about joining the Dragon Pool Manor before, she also understood that it was nothing more than a fantasy. If she wanted to marry into the Dragon Pool Manor, she would definitely have an illustrious background. At most, she would only have a chance to become a concubine. But even so, she was still the girlfriend of a genius world overlord from the Dragon Pool Manor in name. Even the manager of the Heaven Immortal Tower, Old Hua, had to give her some face. Hence, when she spoke to Qin Wenyan earlier, he didn't make her apologize. However, She was actually slapped by Qin Wenyan in front of everyone. How humiliating was this? Hence, she cursed Emo Qingqing for being a slut, saying that she couldn't be compared to her. Emo Qingqing was just an ordinary world overlord's woman. How could she be compared to the girlfriend of the young genius world overlord of the Dragonpool clan? When these words entered Qin Wentian's ears, how would he feel? In an instant, a powerful pressure enveloped the entire Heaven Immortal Tower. Qin Wenyan coldly stared at Jin Ji. At this moment, killing intent flashed in his eyes. A world overlord expert. When his killing intent gushed forth, no matter how arrogant Jin Ji was, she couldn't help but tremble. However, her eyes still stubbornly stared at Qin Wenyan. There were even traces of blood at the corner of her lips. Old Hua could also feel Qin Wentian's killing intent. His silhouette flickered as he appeared in front of Jin Ji, blocking her path as he spoke to Qin Wenyan. "Sir, you've gone too far. Are you selling her life?" Qin Wenyan stared at Elder Hua as he coldly spoke. In an instant, the entire Heaven Immortal Tower seemed to be suffocating. Qin Wenyan wanted to buy the life of this serving girl? Even Elder Hua felt a sense of pressure when he saw the look in Qin Wentian's eyes. He then spoke. "The Heaven Immortal Tower doesn't wish to make things difficult for our guests. I hope that you can show some respect." At this moment, he was silently cursing Jin Ji in his heart. Everything was fine. Why did she have to reprimand others? Now that things have come to this, although his Heaven Immortal Tower wasn't afraid of anything, it would still create trouble for him. For world overlords, even if they were outsiders and couldn't be compared to the Dragonpool Manor, they weren't people you, an Empyrean, can afford to offend, right? In addition, the aura of this young world overlord seemed to be extraordinary. "Respect?" Qin Wenyan coldly spoke. "Didn't you hear his words earlier?" At this moment, Jin Ji's expression was extremely ugly to behold. She took out a messaging crystal and sent her immortal sense in. "In the Heaven Immortal Tower, there's a world overlord who humiliated me because of his woman. He wants to buy my life." "Got it." A faint voice rang out in her mind. After that, Elder Hua furrowed his brows. A voice rang out in his mind. "Elder Hua, handle the matters of the Heaven Immortal Tower for me." Right. Elder Hua took out his messaging crystal and replied. He was silently cursing Jin Ji in his heart. After keeping his messaging crystal, Elder Hua stared at Qin Wenyan. "Sir, you were the one who injured her first. That's why she insulted you in anger. If we really want to talk about it, you were the one who was weak first. I don't wish to discuss who is right and who is wrong in this matter. Let's drop this matter here. Sir, please leave now." This sentence was an order for Qin Wenyan to leave. Also, his tone clearly grew more domineering compared to before. Earlier, Qin Wenyan made a transaction worth 20,000 world stones. But now he was being ordered to leave. From this, one could see the attitude of the other party. Qin Wenyan stared at Elder Hua. Earlier, after that serving girl took out her messaging crystal and spoke to someone, Elder Hua also took out his messaging crystal. How could he not understand? Clearly, the background of this woman was able to affect Elder Hua. No wonder it was so difficult for him to get an apology from a serving girl. So it turned out that she had a background. No wonder this supreme character dared to be so arrogant, not showing the slightest hint of apology when facing a world overlord like him, only wanting to give a perfunctory apology. Hence, she transmitted her voice to Qin Wenyan. "Sir Qin, I shouldn't have brought you here. The power behind the Heaven Immortal Tower is the Dragonpool Manor. This manager, Elder Hua, is someone from the Dragonpool Manor. Earlier, he clearly received an order from the Dragonpool Manor. This young woman should have a background from the Dragonpool Manor. Since Sir Qin came from afar, it would be tough for you to suppress the Dragonpool Manor. Why don't you temporarily retreat and we can head to other places to let Miss Qingqing relax?" This was a very tactful way of persuading Qin Wenyan to give up. She believed that Qin Wenyan would understand her words. World overlords wouldn't be fools. But would Qin Wenyan really leave? He brought Qingqing by his side and accompanied them to tour Time City. Initially, his mood was extremely good. But now that he encountered such a thing, how would he feel? Together, they accompanied each other until today. Hundreds of years have passed and the world has changed. Both the particle world and Azure Mystic have changed greatly and were no longer the same as before. However, he and Mo Qingqing were still together, accompanying each other until today. How difficult was this? The heavens and earth have changed, but the two of them have never changed. For hundreds of years, he had never once lost his temper to the woman he loved. But today he was first berated and looked down on. After that, he was insulted as a slut. How would Qin Wenyan feel now? What was the purpose of his cultivation? Even at his current status, his beloved wife was still insulted in such a manner by others. Was he supposed to leave with his tail between his legs? Even if he wanted to get revenge in the future, what meaning was there to it? This scar would forever remain in Qingqing's heart. For his own matters, he could be indifferent. But when it implicated his two most beloved wives, there was no room for discussion. Are you chasing me away? Qin Wendian stared at Old Hua as he spoke. You caused trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower and injured someone. By right, you should be expelled directly. However, I took a step back because you are a guest. Sir, please don't make things ugly for both sides. Let me repeat one last time, the Heaven Immortal Tower doesn't wish to make things difficult for our guests. But if you insist. Old Hua's eyes turned cold. Jin Ji had already informed that young master. That young master directly gave him an order. He only wanted Qin Wendian to leave the Heaven Immortal Tower. This should be a threat. Qin Wendian stared at Old Hua. I'll only say one thing. I originally came to the Heaven Immortal Tower because I wanted to purchase some treasures, yet I encountered such an incident. I have no intention to cause trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower, but I want to bring away the person who insulted my wife. Sir, are you determined to cause trouble? Old Hua's aura erupted forth. The three world overlords were all present, their auras enveloping the Heaven Immortal Tower. However, the spectators in the surroundings didn't mind this matter blowing out of proportion. All of them were filled with interest. Among them, there were also many world overlords. To think that there would be someone so daring today, causing trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Ordinary people wouldn't have such courage. Or could it be that he didn't know the background of the Heaven Immortal Tower? Even if he didn't know, as a world overlord, he should be able to deduce a little. How could an ordinary power be able to control such a place? Qin Wenyan no longer glanced at Old Hua. His gaze landed on Jin Ji as he spoke. I don't care who you are or what your identity is. I won't kill you. However, you have to pay a price for the words you said earlier. After speaking, he took a step forward. Old Hua and the other two world overlords released their world hearts. For a moment, three types of terrifying pressure bore down on them. And almost at the same time, Qin Wenyan also released his world heart. In just an instant, the expressions of Old Hua and the other two world overlords all changed. They felt an extremely strange feeling. At this moment, they actually didn't dare to move casually. Qin Wendian stretched out his hand and grabbed towards Jin Ji. In an instant, Jin Ji's body was directly locked in place. After that, she appeared before Qin Wendian. Her expression drastically changed as she stared at Qin Wendian. You dare to touch me? Qin Wendian merely coldly glanced at her. After that, he turned and spoke to Mo Qingqing and the others. Let's leave. After speaking, he directly turned and departed. Jin Ji floated in the air. Her body seemed to be locked in place by a terrifying formless energy. She followed after Qin Wendian and moved forward. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this scene. What ability was this? What were Old Hua and the other two world overlords doing? They actually didn't stop him? Yi Zi also had an anxious look on her face. Qin Wendian actually really acted. She had no way to stop Qin Wendian. Earlier, she had already said what she wanted to say, but Qin Wendian was still as domineering as ever, acting to bring Jin Ji away in front of the three world overlords. But what made her shocked was that the three world overlords actually didn't stop him. Even that powerful Old Hua didn't move. Jun Mengchen and the others turned their heads and glanced at each other with a cold expression. After that, their group of people actually left the Heaven Immortal Tower just like that, causing the spectators in the surroundings to be dumbfounded. Old Hua and the other two world overlords still stood at their original location, their expressions constantly changing. What world heart energy is this? That powerful formless energy finally vanished. Old Hua heaved a sigh of relief as he transmitted his voice to the two world overlords beside him. I don't know, but it's so terrifying. The expressions of the two world overlords kept changing. This matter was somewhat troublesome. The woman Jin Ji insulted might be a transcendent level world overlord's woman. Chapter 1761. After Qin Wendian and his group left the Heaven Immortal Tower, their good mood was completely ruined. They naturally didn't have the mood to continue strolling around and directly returned to the inn. Jin Ji had a cultivation base at the Empyrean realm, yet she was trapped behind Qin Wendian, unable to move at all. That terrifying pressure made her feel as though her heart was about to crumble. Qin Wendian could kill her with just a thought. Right now, she was both angry and terrified. She was angry because Qin Wendian actually dared to act against her and even used such a method to forcefully bring her away. Such a domineering attitude actually caused Old Hua and the other two world overlords to not dare to protect her. She naturally understood what this meant. Old Hua and the other two world overlords knew that they wouldn't be able to keep Qin Wendian here. One could even say that the disparity between their strength was extremely great. If not, Old Hua would definitely do his best. Hence, she also felt some fear. She was truly worried that Qin Wendian would do something to her. On the way here, many people glanced over, staring at her who was trapped. There were also many people who came out from the Heaven Immortal Tower to watch the show. She felt like she was being dragged through the streets, feeling incomparably humiliated. I'm the girlfriend of the Dragon Pool World Overlord. Do you know what you are doing? If you still don't release me, both you and your woman will have to pay an unimaginable price. Jin Ji spoke with difficulty. She had no way to endure the strange gazes from the surroundings. No matter whose woman you are, you have to pay a price for insulting my wife. Qin Wendian coldly spoke. Yi Zi, who was at the side, felt her heart trembling when she heard this. She also didn't expect Qin Wendian to be so domineering, directly bringing her away from the Heaven Immortal Tower, not giving her any face at all. In addition, he ignored the three world overlords. The three world overlords didn't dare to obstruct him. What level of power is the Dragon Pool Manor? Only now did Qin Wendian ask Yi Zi, who was at the side. For Qingqing, he didn't mind stirring up trouble. But no matter what, he had to know roughly what level of power he was provoking. He wouldn't lose his rationality just because of anger. The most important reason for doing this was naturally because of Qingqing. There were some things he couldn't endure. It was his reverse scale. There was another secondary reason. It was naturally because of his confidence in his own strength. Ye's face was filled with black lines. He was completely speechless towards Qin Wendian. He mused in his heart, I've already warned you, you don't even know what sort of power the Dragon Pool Manor is. You actually dared to create trouble for yourself? Naturally, it was impossible for her to say this out loud. She replied, the Dragon Pool Manor is a peak power in Time City. The experts in the manor are as common as the clouds, and there are many world overlords among them. The Dragon Pool Manor Lord is the clan leader of the Dragon Pool Manor and has already broken through to the World Overlord realm countless years ago. Right now, he is already at the peak of this realm. As for how strong he is exactly, I have no way to know. After all, I've never seen such a character before and have only heard rumors about him. World Overlords weren't differentiated by their cultivation realms. Hence, it was very hard to say for sure. In any case, the Dragon Pool Manor was very strong, or the Dragon Pool Manor wouldn't have become a peak power. Qin Wendian calmly nodded his head. Did you hear that? If you release me now, maybe your punishment might be lighter. If not, the consequences would be unimaginable. Jin Ji coldly spoke from behind. Qin Wendian didn't even glance at her. He only coldly replied, you really don't have any self-awareness at all. As the girlfriend of the Dragon Pool Manor's World Overlord, you are actually a serving girl in the Heaven Immortal Tower. There's no need to think about it, and I already know what your status is exactly. Could it be that you think that after such a thing happened and you lost all your face, the Dragon Pool Manor's world overlord would still acknowledge your existence? When Jin Ji heard Qin Wentian's words, she instantly felt her entire body turning cold, from head to toe. She wasn't a foolish person, on the contrary, she was extremely intelligent. Back then when Qin Wenyan asked her to use her hands to retrieve the treasure, she already knew that she had been fooled. Now, after hearing Qin Wentian's words, how could she still not understand the situation she was in? Just like what Qin Wenyan said, Jin Ji was a serving girl in the Heaven Immortal Tower. From this, one could tell that this girlfriend of his didn't have a high status and wouldn't have any chance to enter the Dragon Pool Manor. But now, such a thing happened, she was brought away in front of everyone. How shameful was this? She, who originally didn't have a high status, did she still want to continue being the girlfriend of the Dragon Pool Manor's world overlord? Even if it was the Dragon Pool Manor, they wouldn't be able to lose face like this, right? It was inevitable that they would break up. In fact, they might even refuse to acknowledge the existence of this girlfriend and treat her as an ordinary serving girl. Even so, your actions would still offend him to the extreme. Jin Ji's expression turned malevolent. Even if she wasn't acknowledged, would Qin Wenyan have a good ending? How ridiculous! Qin Wenyan mocked. Could it be that you think you alone can make the entire Dragon Pool Manor stand up for you? As for that world overlord of the Dragon Pool Manor who dotes on you, although I've never met him before and I don't know who he is, even if he wants a woman like you, I'm sure the power he can mobilize wouldn't be that strong. This sentence was an insult to Jin Ji, but it was also a display of his immense self-confidence. The fear in Jin Ji's heart grew even more intense. She suddenly felt some regret. Maybe because of this matter, all the sacrifices she made in the past would all be for naught. Also, there were many women around Qin Wenyan. Leaving aside their strength in terms of beauty, none of them were inferior to her. No wonder he dared to say that even a woman like her would want a man like him. This was an extreme form of contempt for her. Although she felt this way in her heart, she didn't want to admit it. She still had hope in her heart as her gaze grew increasingly vicious. Yi Zi's gaze towards Qin Wenyan gradually changed. She discovered that she might have underestimated this outsider world overlord. His domineeringness didn't only originate from his impulsiveness, it also originated from his self-confidence. The news of what happened in the Heaven Immortal Tower soon circulated. In Time City, everyone had messaging crystals. Although this place was vast, the speed of the news spreading was still terrifying. In fact, very soon, even the inn Qin Wenyan stayed in was dug out. It was the extremely famous 10 Miles Inn, an extremely famous inn with high prices. Those who could stay here were usually people from world overlord level powers. Hence, the number of people in the vicinity of the 10 Miles Inn increased. Many people wanted to see how the Dragon Pool Manor would handle this matter. At this moment, there were still many guests in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Among them, there was a group of people who exuded an extremely outstanding aura. The person in the lead was a young man and woman. The young man looked very young, but his cultivation base was unfathomably deep. He was a world overlord while the young woman was an Empyrean character. As for the followers behind them, there were several world overlords as well. From this, one could very well imagine their background. I've already investigated clearly. They are staying in the 10 Miles Inn. The young man spoke to the young woman beside him. He was as handsome as a jade tree and had extraordinary looks. The young woman was even more stunning. Her beauty was noble and noble. Her beautiful eyes gleamed with light, as resplendent as the stars. She radiated an extraordinary aura. Little princess, why are you interested in a world overlord? The young man smiled as he asked. They came to Time City and roamed around. They heard that the Heaven Immortal Tower was extremely famous and the little princess naturally felt some interest in it. Don't you feel that it's very interesting? The eyes of the young woman who was referred to as Little Princess flashed with a smile, causing the passers-by to be in a daze. Don't tell me you feel that you are interested because the wife of that world overlord is willing to pay 20,000 world stones? If not, if Little Princess is interested in any treasure, Even if it costs 200,000 world stones, I will still pay for it. The young man smiled. Stop trying to curry favor with me. The young woman glanced at him, causing the young man to smile. I like it, but sadly I don't have such a chance. I really hope that there would be someone who would look down on little princess like this. If that's the case, I would also have a chance to vent my anger for my beauty. A strange expression appeared on the young woman's face. Every time she came out, her father would always send people to follow her. It was truly very rare for people to look down on her. Didn't you say that his world heart is extraordinary? It's very possible that he is the same as you, a transcendent world heart. Since he has offended the Dragonpool Manor, if he doesn't have any background and is only here to participate in the convention, why don't we try to recruit him and make him one of us? The young woman calmly spoke. Princess loves talent, but little princess is still so young. Why must you always think about such things when you are still young? Isn't it better to leave it to the elders? The young man speechlessly spoke. You don't understand. The beautiful eyes of the young woman flashed with a look of contemplation. Back then, when the news of the seal on Azure Mystic was released, there were some rumors that had great implications. She once heard the elders of the supreme ancient immortal realms discussing this matter. In the future, there might be a huge change in the supreme ancient immortal realms. Okay, I don't understand. The young man bitterly smiled and shook his head. His gaze was filled with gentleness as he stared at the young woman. There's no need for you to understand. Your talent lies in cultivation. Just focus on your cultivation. The young woman had a radiant smile on her face. She stared at the young man and continued, Let's go to the 10 miles inn to take a look. After the group of them spoke, they left the Heaven Immortal Tower and also rushed towards the 10 miles inn. A serving girl from the Heaven Immortal Tower was forcibly brought away. This matter wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. It was equivalent to smacking the face of the Heaven Immortal Tower. Something would definitely happen in the future. Hence, not only for them, many people also rushed to the 10 miles inn. At this moment, the 10 miles inn suddenly became lively. Naturally, before this, there was a manor outside the 10 miles inn that was already extremely lively. This manor was the temporary residence of a world overlord, and many people came here to pay their respects. However, they were willing to wait outside the manor. The owner of the manor didn't seem to have any intentions to receive them. What was truly terrifying was that the experts waiting outside were all world overlords without exception. What's going on? Why are there suddenly so many people in the surroundings of the inn? In the crowd, a world overlord suddenly frowned. Could it be that the news of Senior Absolute Beginning Overlord staying here has been leaked out? Someone mumbled. The people in the surroundings all nodded their heads. This should be the case. If this was the case, given the personality of the Absolute Beginning Overlord, he most probably wouldn't receive them. Chapter 1762. At this moment, Qin Wenin was in a pavilion enjoying the delicacies and wine, occasionally chatting as though nothing had happened. Jin Ji stood at the side and waited on him. Qin Wenin didn't do anything to her and only allowed her to pour tea and serve him. Before this, she didn't obey, and Qin Wenin told her that if she didn't obey or if she wanted to escape, he would directly cripple her cultivation base. This sentence caused Jin Ji to be so frightened that she didn't dare to move recklessly. She could only obediently wait on him. Staring at Qin Wenin and the others who were chatting happily, her gaze was extremely cold, like she was cursing. She wanted to see how long Qin Wenin could live for. Senior brother, this woman is so irritating just by looking at her. Why don't we just cripple her and chase her away? Jun Mengchen coldly glanced at Jin Ji, who was at the side. This was especially so when he saw the venomous look in Jin Ji's eyes. His mood was greatly affected. What sort of character was his senior brother? He became the overlord of Azure Mystic and was given the title of Heaven Empyrean, a lofty existence. In the supreme ancient immortal realms, he even brought his subordinates under the tutelage of a heavenly deity. This woman was the lover of a world overlord from the Dragonpool Manor. She actually dared to insult Emo Qingqing? With regards to his senior brother's wife, Who in the world would dare to be disrespectful? How could a lover of a world overlord from the Dragon Pool Manor insult her? Honestly speaking, right now, the will of a heavenly deity already existed in his mind. Hence, he didn't feel too much reverence for the powerful Dragon Pool Manor. Although his cultivation base was still lower, so what of it? It was merely a matter of time. A mere Dragon Pool Manor, if they really dared to antagonize him, at most he would leave Time City and come back after a few hundred years or 10,000 years to destroy them. Jun Mingchen's words frightened Jin Ji. She could clearly sense Jun Mingchen's unmasked coldness. The venomous look in her eyes instantly retracted, as though she was worried that Qin Wenin would really accept Jun Mingchen's suggestion and cripple her. Her reaction was seen by Jun Mingchen. Seems like his senior brother was too kind. He coldly mocked. I wonder which world overlord is blind to want such a lowly person? She even thinks she's so arrogant and thinks she's extraordinary. Yi Zi was also sitting at the side. Her heart trembled when she heard that. She thought that Qin Wenin was already domineering enough, but who would have thought that this young and handsome man would be so tyrannical when he was angered? Although his cultivation base was only at the Empyrean realm, from his words, it was as though he didn't care about what happened today. It was as though he didn't offend the Dragon Pool clan at all. This was simply too crazy. Who are these people exactly? Could it be that he was a disciple of some powerful family that had come out to gain experience? How could she know that Qin Wenin and the others didn't have any background? If they did, it would be terrifying. In the minds of most of them, there was a heavenly deity. Sir, what arrogant words you have. The people in the other pavilions glanced over, smiling at Jun Mingchen and his group. Not long ago, I heard that someone caused trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower and captured a serving girl of the Heaven Immortal Tower. Right now, the entire inn seems to be bustling with noise and excitement. Most probably, this is all because of you guys. You guys are truly audacious. It's not that we caused trouble in the Heaven Immortal Tower. It's because the serving girl of the Heaven Immortal Tower is too impudent. The Heaven Immortal Tower actually still wants to protect her. Does everyone feel that the Heaven Immortal Tower is in the right? Jun Mingchen spoke. We've also heard of what happened. However, this world isn't a place where logic is spoken. From your words, I'm sure you guys don't have much understanding of the Dragon Pool Manor, which is the controlling power of the Heaven Immortal Tower, right? That person laughed. Sir, what do you want to say? Qin Wenin stared at the person who spoke as he asked. Nothing much. Staying in the same inn can also be considered fate. I'm sure you guys also came from outside to participate in the convention of the Myriad Realms. However, I should have arrived earlier than you guys and have already arrived here many years ago. I have some understanding of the major powers in Time City. Since you guys have offended the Heaven Immortal Tower, I'm afraid your ending wouldn't be very good. I can point out a path for you guys. If the owner of the 10 Miles Inn is willing to protect you guys, there might be some hope. That person laughed. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Seems like the owner of the 10 Miles Inn wasn't a simple character. Naturally. Did you see that there are many world overlords gathered in the inn? From what I know, there's also a major character there, a transcendent level world overlord who is respected by everyone. You can go and pay a visit to him. If you are lucky, you might be able to meet with him and the Dragon Pool Manor might not pursue this matter any further. That person laughed. Many thanks for Sir's kind intentions. However, there's no need for you to worry about such matters. Qin Wenin calmly spoke. Okay, just take it that I spoke too much. That person laughed. He really wanted to see how Qin Wenin would deal with the Dragon Pool Manor. Senior brother, there are indeed many people in the surroundings. Seems like they're all here to watch a show. The speed of news really is fast. We came back the moment we came out, but the news already circulated around the inn so quickly. Jun Mingchen spoke. This place is Time City, it's normal. Qin Wentian spoke. In the central region of the Mystic Region, he wouldn't be surprised by anything that happened. Not long after, a group of experts arrived at the inn. After that, they came to the pavilion. This group of people exuded an outstanding aura and the person in the lead was a young man and woman. They were none other than the group of people from the Heaven Immortal Tower earlier. They directly walked towards Qin Wenyan. People from the Dragon Pool Manor? Doesn't seem like it. Someone mumbled. If they aren't people from the Dragon Pool Manor, they would definitely be disciples from a major power with so many world overlords following them. Someone felt even more interested in this matter. The young man and woman in the lead were all extremely outstanding. Naturally, the auras of Qin Wenyan, Mo Qingqing, Qing, Princess Kitamura and the others weren't in any way inferior to them. It was just that with so many world overlords following behind them, their statuses were clearly extraordinary. Qin Wenyan felt some bewilderment when he saw the young man and woman in the lead walking over. Earlier in the Heaven Immortal Tower, this group of people was here but he didn't pay attention to them. Now that he was surveying this group of people, he could tell that they were all extraordinary. The young woman in the lead had an extraordinary cultivation base, but regardless of beauty or demeanor, they were all outstanding, not something Jinji could compare to. In addition, her aura was also very strong. As for the handsome young man beside her, he had a smile on his face as he followed behind her. This young woman was also surveying Qin Wenyan and his group. All of a sudden, a smile appeared on her face. She who was originally already extremely beautiful could mesmerize the masses at this moment. Even for beauties like Mo Qingqing and Qing, they all had looks of admiration on their faces. This was purely because they admired her beauty. Sir, you seem to have gotten yourself into trouble. Not long ago, the Heaven Immortal Tower sent out a piece of news saying that if there's someone who can bring you all to the Heaven Immortal Tower, they can choose any treasure other than the ultimate treasure. The young woman smiled. This was the latest news, and after everyone heard it, their eyes flashed. As expected of the Heaven Immortal Tower, how extravagant! Even other than the ultimate treasure, there were countless dazzling treasures in the Heaven Immortal Tower. Some of them were priceless. Even transcendent-level world overlords would be moved by them. Just when everyone thought that the Dragon Pool Manor was going to act, they actually made such a move. They didn't even need to act themselves but used treasures to smash you to death. This was the power of wealth. If the Dragon Pool Manor acted, it would be beneath their status. Since they lost face, they had to forcefully regain it. Naturally, with regards to Jinji's identity, it was naturally impossible for anyone to mention that she was the girlfriend of a world overlord of the Dragon Pool Manor. Many thanks for the information, miss. Qin Wenyan smiled. Are you not worried? This promise might cause many people to act. Right now, there are many experts participating in the convention of the Myriad Realms. Even I would be moved if I could choose any treasure from the Heaven Immortal Tower. The young woman laughed. Indeed. Miss, are you trying to express something by telling me this? Qin Wenyan asked. My surname is Donghuang. Sir, how should I address you? The young woman asked. My surname is Qin, and my title is Qingqing Realm Lord. Qin Wenyan replied. Qingqing Realm Lord? Is this a title? Could it be that you are a world overlord from the supreme ancient immortal realms? The young woman smiled. Qin Wenyan nodded. This young woman wanted to probe him thoroughly with just a few words. However, there was no need for him to hide anything. In any case, she had already reported her surname. However, this surname was a little special. Recently, he had heard of this surname before and it had an extremely great origin. Right now, looking at the aura of this young woman and the cultivation bases of her subordinates, could this prove something? Although there are many cultivation resources in a world, it is ultimately a minor path. For cultivators, if they want to pursue the highest cultivation realm, they would still have to go to the core regions of the supreme ancient immortal realms. The Qingqing Realm Lord's talent is outstanding and he is also so young. I'm sure he wouldn't be willing to stay in a remote corner of the supreme ancient immortal realms. If he is willing to join us, the trouble this time around would be nothing more than a minor matter. The young woman casually spoke. Her tone was grand, as though she didn't place the Dragon Pool Manor in her heart at all. However, no one felt that she was bragging. Many world overlords also involuntarily thought of the surname she reported. Could this be a coincidence? She is trying to rope the Qingqing Realm Lord into her power. The eyes of everyone gleamed with sharpness. They didn't expect that there would be someone who admired the Qingqing realm lord so quickly and was willing to help him resolve his troubles. You guys, what does the surname Donghuang refer to? Qin Wendian asked in a low voice. Just like what you are thinking. The young woman calmly replied. A single sentence from her caused a huge commotion, causing the expressions of everyone in the surroundings to change. Even world overlords were shocked. This was truly a climax. The winds and clouds were changing. Dong Huang was actually willing to help this young world overlord to resolve this matter. If Qin Wenyan really agreed, this trouble wouldn't be considered trouble at all. This is our little princess. The young man at the side laughed, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble violently. Her surname was Dong Huang, little princess. Her identity was already very clear. No wonder she exuded such magnificence through the generations. She actually had such a lofty status. The people in the surroundings all stood up, including world overlords. Someone spoke, "It's my honor to be able to meet the little princess here. The little princess is so charming, yet she is still so polite." Another person spoke. At this moment, Jinji's heart was also trembling. When she stared at the beautiful young woman, her eyes flashed with unmasked envy. This was a true heaven chosen. Compared to her, she was so insignificant. Chapter 1763. This young woman who was referred to as the little princess was named Dong Huang Ying. When she saw so many world overlords greeting her, she smiled and nodded to the surroundings, but she didn't say anything. Given her status and identity, even if she was facing world overlords, there was no need for her to say anything. Her beautiful eyes turned to Qin Wenyan, waiting for Qin Wentian's reply. Qin Wenyan was also extremely shocked when he heard her identity. He smiled and nodded. "Many thanks for little princess's kindness. It's just that I'm used to being idle and carefree. I still prefer to be the overlord of a world. Although I'm living in a remote corner of the world, it's still a peaceful and carefree life." This was a rejection. Everyone stared at Qin Wenyan. This Qingqing realm lord even rejected the invitation of the little princess. Given Dong Huang Ying's status, she personally invited him to join her. This was already giving him a lot of face. In addition, she even brought him a piece of extremely unfavorable news. But even under such a situation, he still rejected. Everyone couldn't help but to feel curious. What sort of character was this Qingqing realm lord exactly? Was he really infatuated with the authority of a remote corner of the world? But even so, he had to pass this hurdle first. Jin Ji, who was at the side, felt her heart trembling. Earlier, as long as Qin Wendian agreed, he would be part of the Donghuang clan and the Dragon Pool Manor wouldn't dare to touch him. With such a status, he actually rejected it without any hesitation. From this, one could see how arrogant he was. No wonder he would be so angry when she insulted his woman. She regretted that matter even more. Why did she berate Mo Qingqing back then? Could it be that she was jealous of the beauty of Qin Wenyan and Qing? A look of surprise flashed in Dong Huang Ying's eyes. The young man beside her had a look of interest on his face as he stared at Qin Wenyan. After that, Dong Huang Ying smiled. "Since this is the case, I won't force you. I just feel that it's a pity." The pity in her words, no one knew if it was because she didn't succeed in roping in Qin Wenyan or because she felt that Qin Wenyan wouldn't be able to survive this calamity. Qin Wenyan nodded to her. After that, Dong Huang Ying found a pavilion and sat down. It was like she was prepared to see what would happen next. The Heaven Immortal Tower promised that if they brought Qin Wendian and the others to the Heaven Immortal Tower, they would be able to choose any treasure they wanted. Such a tempting condition would definitely cause the hearts of many to move. Naturally, those who investigated the Heaven Immortal Tower before this also knew that the most ordinary world overlords wouldn't be able to do so. At that time, even Old Hua and the other two world overlords didn't dare to stop them. From this, one could see that the people the Heaven Immortal Tower wanted to capture were all existences that couldn't be trifled with. But even so, with great rewards, there would definitely be courageous people. Let alone the fact that the convention of the Myriad Realms was about to commence, this time city didn't lack experts the least. World Overlord level experts weren't lacking either. Hence, very soon people arrived. Two people came together, a man and a woman. The man exuded an evil aura and had a powerful cultivation base. He was a World Overlord character. As for the woman, she was extremely seductive and was dressed in a revealing dress. Her cleavage could be seen faintly in and out of sight, exuding an alluring aura. Her cultivation base was also at the World Overlord realm. The attitude of the two of them was extremely intimate. The woman leaned against the man while the man's hand caressed her smooth and tender skin through her dress, not at all afraid of outsiders. "It's them." Someone spoke in a low voice. The instant he saw these two, he instantly recognized them. Although he hadn't seen them before, there weren't many World Overlords like them. They were two terrifying World Overlords from Time City and were rumored to be husband and wife. This man and woman both exuded an evil aura and their cultivation methods were very unique as well. However, they were extremely powerful. This was especially so if they joined forces, they would definitely be even more terrifying. They giggled, their gazes roaming through the crowd. When they saw Dong Huang-ing, a strange look appeared on their faces. That beautiful woman at the Empyrean realm wasn't someone good to antagonize. Just by looking at the followers behind her, one could tell that her identity was extraordinary. Also, there was a place in this where many World Overlords gathered. There should be some powerful characters among them. However, their target wasn't Dong Huang-ing. Very swiftly, their gazes locked onto Qin Wenyin as evil smiles appeared on their faces. "Didn't we agree that the treasures this time around will be considered a gift to me?" The woman's charming eyes were like silk as she stared at the evil-looking young man beside her. "Fine, I'll give it to you." The young man laughed. Their faces were very close to each other, almost touching each other. Under the gazes of so many people, they didn't have any misgivings at all. "Huh, you two ambiguous fellows. This time around, I'm afraid there's nothing for you two to do. This time around, the treasures of the Heaven Immortal Tower will be mine." A clear voice rang out. A resplendent light flashed in the air, and after that, everyone saw an imposing figure descending from the sky. He was like a heavenly god that descended, causing the entire space to tremble. This was an imposing middle-aged man with a fearsome aura. He stood there like a towering ancient mountain, unshakable and filled with strength. It was like with a casual wave of his hand, he could cause the heavens and earth to tremble. Another powerful World Overlord has arrived. All of them came here for the treasures of the Heaven Immortal Tower. And this was only the news of this just circulated out. Most probably, there would still be more experts arriving later on. "Gu Hua, do you want to fight against us first?" That evil-looking young man sinisterly spoke. "Do you think I'm afraid of you guys?" The middle-aged man tyrannically spoke. "Don't waste time. I'm afraid more people will come later. Since you are already here, let's see who can capture him first. How about it?" That beautiful woman smiled evilly. "This idea isn't bad." The Gu Hua Realm Lord nodded. He glanced at Qin Wenyin. "Sir, since you won't be able to escape, why don't you follow me?" These two ambiguous fellows are named Xie Sha and Yin Sha. Both of them are extremely evil characters. If you guys end up in their hands, I'm afraid things would be very miserable for you. Don't listen to his nonsense. If you end up in my hands, I will definitely let you enjoy the pleasures of the mortal world. Yin Sha smiled. Her gaze seemed to penetrate Qin Wentian's mind, causing him to be immersed in it. Qin Wentian continued sitting there. Even at this moment he didn't stand up. He only coldly spat out a single word, "Scram." "What a temper. I like it. How about handing him to me after you capture him?" Yin Sha stared at Xie Sha as she spoke. "Sure. Leave his woman to me then." Xie Sha spoke. "Did you hear that? Come with me. At the very least, I can protect you all until you reach the Heaven Immortal Tower safely. At that time, things might still turn for the better. But if you end up in their hands, the consequences would be extremely dire." The Gu Hua Realm Lord spoke. Qin Wenyin inclined his head. His eyes were cold to the extreme as he stared at Xie Sha. "Since this is the case, there's no need for you guys to leave." Qin Wentian stood up. He didn't make any movements, but he instantly appeared in the air. Using them to exchange for treasures? The Heaven Immortal Tower gave such an order, causing him endless trouble. Since this was the case, he might as well settle this once and for all. What arrogant words! Insha laughed. Let's fight in the air. There were many people with extraordinary statuses in this inn. Also, the owner of this inn wasn't an ordinary character as well. The commotion caused by a battle between world overlords was extremely great. It could easily destroy the inn and disturb the others. Insha still felt some trepidation. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. How arrogant! No wonder you dare to bring people away from the Heaven Immortal Tower. Since this is the case, I want to experience it for myself. As the sound of the Gu Hua Realm Lord's voice faded, he released his world heart. In just an instant, everything in the world seemed to slow down. The people in the inn felt their movements becoming extremely sluggish. They wanted to lift their hands, but they discovered that it was extremely difficult. They had to struggle even if they wanted to move. What world heart energy is this? The hearts of everyone trembled. How could they still fight if they released their world heart energy? This Gu Hua Realm Lord was very powerful. No wonder he was so unexcelled in the world. Since you are here, I'm sure you have already thought of what price you want to pay. Qin Wentian acted like he didn't sense the power of his opponents. As the sound of his voice faded, he released his world heart. When his heart domain enveloped the Gu Hua Realm Lord, Xie Sha and Yin Sha, the expressions of the three world overlords instantly changed. At the instant the power of his world heart enveloped them, they felt the flow of space turning sluggish. An absolutely terrifying energy was suppressing everything. The Gu Hua Realm Lord's eyes were filled with shock. Under the influence of his world heart, his opponent actually did the exact opposite, using a similar method to suppress him. At this moment, he felt that his body didn't belong to him. His reactions became sluggish and the power of his Heaven Heart mandate seemed to be completely suppressed. Just with the world hearts you guys have comprehended, you guys actually dare to come here to take people away? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Although these three world overlords were stronger than Old Hua, there was no difference to him. At this moment, Qin Wentian stepped up into the air. The three world overlords actually didn't dare to act. They only stared at Qin Wentian as their gazes kept changing. Where would their earlier arrogance be? Sometimes, the moment a world heart was released, one would be able to tell the difference in strength. If the disparity wasn't too great, they would naturally be able to fight. But if the disparity was too great, it would result in absolute suppression. How would they still have the courage to fight? We were only joking with you, sir. Please forgive us. Xie Sha spoke to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at him, like he was looking at a dead man. Today, there's actually someone who dares to be disrespectful to my wife? Qin Wentian was truly angered. He stared at the three world overlords in the air as he icily spoke. For those who dare to offend me, I will kill them all without mercy. Slay. As the sound of the word, slay, faded, a supreme might manifested in the air. The faces of the three world overlords were filled with terror. They only felt heavenly might descending upon them. Their eyes were filled with boundless terror and despair. A formless killing light appeared in the air. Everywhere it passed by, everything was destroyed. The bodies of the three world overlords struggled in pain as they turned illusory. After that, the body of the Yin Fiend world overlord transformed into nothingness and vanished. Next, Xie Sha did the same. No! Finally, the Gua Realm Lord was the last one. He roared loudly, but he still had no way to block the arrival of the Grim Reaper. In just an instant, silence filled the inn. The gazes of everyone were focused on the figure in the air as their hearts pounded violently. Chapter 1764. Qin Wentian's body floated in the air. Only now did everyone understand why the little princess Donghuang would personally come to the inn to invite him. Because this man was a transcendent-level world overlord. Three world overlords were instantly insta-killed. They had no way to retaliate at all. In fact, they didn't even have the chance to unleash their world heart mandates. Before this Qingqing realm lord, they were all killed in a single strike. How domineering was this? It's rumored that the 3 world overlords in the Heaven Immortal Tower didn't dare to obstruct him from bringing his people away. Most probably, the 3 world overlords also felt the suppression of his world heart. The experts silently mused. This Xiesha, Insha and Gua realm lord all felt that their strength was extremely high, stronger compared to the 3 world overlords of the Heaven Immortal Tower. In addition, they were quite famous as well. When Xiesha and Insha joined forces, they could unleash many types of heaven heart mandates. Their coordination was even better, allowing them to greatly restrict their opponents. It was precisely because they were confident in their own strength that they came here. However, they clearly underestimated Qin Wenqian's strength. Strong coordination? He basically didn't give them any chance to cooperate. Absolute suppression of his world heart, absolute disparity, insta-kill. Dong Huangying's beautiful eyes gleamed brightly, staring at Qin Wenyan. Although she sensed a trace of his aura, Qin Wenqian's world heart was completely targeted at the 3 world overlords. Hence, her senses weren't very clear. World overlords had perfect control over their own strength, they could use it as they pleased. Jinji also stared at Qin Wenyan in a daze. Only now did she realize that the man of the woman whom she scolded with disdain was a world overlord existence. This time around she had truly caused trouble. Numerous figures flashed over. Not only were there experts from the outside, there were also world overlords in the inn. They naturally saw the battle in the air. A battle between 4 world overlords, it was difficult not to notice it even if they didn't want to. The people in the inn felt shock in their hearts. As expected of the commencement of the convention of the myriad realms. Just a random person they met in the inn was actually a transcendent-level world overlord, able to insta-kill 3 world overlords. His world heart should have been formed from the fusion of his 3 source origins. In fact, he even infused some of his comprehensions into it. As for those who came, many of them came here for Qin Wenyan. Or more accurately, they received the bounty from the Heaven Immortal Tower and wanted to capture Qin Wenyan. But after they arrived, they saw 3 world overlords being killed on the spot. How would they dare to act recklessly? Qin Wenyan glanced coldly at the realm lord who had just arrived from the void. The threat in his eyes was not concealed at all. He didn't have any life and death grudges with the 3 world overlords, but if people were kind, they would be bullied. Sometimes, one had to be more decisive when killing. These people were tempted by treasures and wanted to bring them away. Did they even think about their lives? Even if the Heaven Immortal Pavilion wanted to kill them, these people wouldn't show any mercy. In addition, if he didn't domineeringly kill them, there would be endless troubles. There would be people coming to find them, wanting to capture them. He didn't have the mood to deal with these troublesome matters. At the world overlord level, although it wasn't easy to cultivate, they had to pay the price for their actions. Since he didn't care about their lives, how could Qin Wenyan be merciful? The death of 3 world overlords was a clear deterrent. Nobody dared to make a move. In the air, a resplendent light flashed. A new world overlord arrived at the 10 Miles Inn. When he saw the stalemate, he was stunned. Why was it so quiet? He glanced below and saw Qin Wenyan. He also saw Jinji below Qin Wenyan. This should be the group of world overlords. Seems like everyone is here for the same purpose? This world overlord stared at the other world overlords standing in the air as he smiled. The 3 world overlords had already turned into ashes, their souls dispersed. This world overlord who arrived later had no idea what kind of battle happened. When everyone heard his words, they all glanced at him with interest. Their gazes caused this world overlord to feel a strange aura. Qin Wenyan coldly glanced at that world overlord and spoke, "Those who want to stay in the inn, look for the attendants. Those who want a drink, find your own seats. If there are still people staring at me, I will assume that you are here to act against me. I definitely won't show mercy. If you guys are here for this purpose, you can all scram now." Qin Wenqian's domineering voice rang out through this entire region. After that, he returned to his seat and sat down, showing everyone his back view. He was extremely domineering and he did indeed have the qualifications to do so. What's going on? That world overlord who just arrived was stunned. So arrogant? In addition, these world overlords didn't even dare to let out a fart. It was like they silently agreed with Qin Wentian's words. No one dared to doubt him. His reaction was very fast. He instantly knew that something must have happened here earlier or such a scene wouldn't have appeared. Could it be that this young world overlord was someone whom the other world overlords couldn't afford to antagonize? He found a world overlord he heard of before and transmitted his voice to ask. That world overlord only replied with a single sentence, "If you don't want to die, go ahead and give it a try." After leaving behind the sentence, the world overlord directly left, clearly not intending to continue getting involved in this mess. The Heaven Immortal Tower truly had evil intentions. It wasn't so easy to earn treasures, it wasn't easy to become a world overlord. At this moment, within the 10 miles in the courtyard where many world overlords were gathered, an extraordinary character walked out. He was clad in green and had the appearance of a middle-aged man. He exuded an imposing aura even without being angry as he casually glanced at the world overlords in the courtyard. We pay our respects to Senior Absolute Beginning. We pay our respects to the Absolute Beginning Overlord. Upon seeing this person appearing, many world overlords regained their composure as they stared at the major character before them. This Absolute Beginning Overlord was a world overlord who has been famous for a very long time in the Mystic region. He was a legendary world overlord character and his fame originated from Time City. In the convention of the Myriad Realms that was held once every 10,000 years, he was considered an extremely dazzling character, lofty. It was rumored that many years ago when the convention of the Myriad Realms was held, the Absolute Beginning Overlord caused trouble in Time City and angered a supreme clan in Time City. That clan was a local power of Time City and had many world overlords under their command. They were naturally extremely domineering and wanted the Absolute Beginning Overlord to kneel and apologize to them. In the end, the Absolute Beginning Overlord went there. In a single battle, he killed all the world overlords and razed that clan to flat ground. From then on, his name shook Time City and displayed his brilliance in the convention of the Myriad Realms. He was considered a famous character in the convention, and every time the convention of the Myriad Realms was held, there would always be world overlords coming to pay their respects. Although he was in his room, everything that happened outside the inn naturally couldn't be hidden from his eyes. As long as he wanted to know, he could see everything clearly. This young world overlord had shocking talent and an extraordinary world heart. He was someone with great potential and, in addition, he offended a major power like the Heaven Immortal Tower the moment he arrived in Time City. This truly reminded him of his past self. Little friend, your strength is extraordinary and you also have an extraordinary world heart. Why don't you come to my place for a chat? The Absolute Beginning Overlord stood there, but his voice directly rang out in Qin Wentian's mind. Also, his figure was imprinted in Qin Wentian's eyes. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared in a certain direction in the inn. Although he couldn't see anything with his eyes, everything that happened at the Absolute Beginning Overlord's side was clearly imprinted in his mind. It was like he was seeing it with his own eyes, or even clearer. There naturally wouldn't be any obstructions when they conversed. This person who spoke had an extraordinary aura. He was none other than the person who reminded him earlier that the Dragon Pool Manor wanted him to join him. Maybe the Dragon Pool Manor wouldn't mind. However, Qin Wentian wasn't acquainted with the Absolute Beginning Overlord. How could he possibly beg him? That was clearly a melodramatic suggestion. Sir, your aura is also extraordinary. It's just that right now, I'm currently enjoying a banquet with my family and friends. I won't be going over, please forgive me. Qin Wentian replied. But could it be that little friend is looking down on me? The Absolute Beginning Overlord was somewhat surprised. He was actually rejected. There were so many world overlords who came to pay a visit, but he didn't receive any of them. Earlier, he saw that Qin Wentian's world heart was extraordinary and hence, he wanted to understand what Qin Wentian's world heart was. Hence, He came out to invite Qin Wenyan to his courtyard so that he could understand more. I have the same intention. Qin Wenyan smiled and nodded from afar. He truly didn't have such intentions. It's just that his mood today wasn't very good. Their relationship with the Dragon Pool Manor hasn't ended and he didn't know how Qingqing was feeling right now. He naturally wanted to accompany her more and didn't have the mood to chat with other world overlords. If it was during normal times, he might go over. After all, there were many world overlords paying a visit and this person should be extraordinary. Since little friend doesn't have the intention to look down on me, come over then. I'm very curious about little friend's world heart. The absolute beginning overlord smiled. Everyone has their own path of cultivation. Why is there a need to be curious? If I'm free, I will pay a visit to Sir again. I won't be going over now. Qin Wenyan still smiled as he replied. He felt that this person was an extraordinary character, but he also felt an inexplicable sense of pride. He didn't look down on this person, but did he really have to go over? This caused him to feel a little baffled. The absolute beginning overlord frowned, feeling a little unhappy. He had already invited Qin Wenyan twice, but he was rejected both times. The absolute beginning overlord coldly snorted. He flicked his sleeves as though he was a little angry that Qin Wenyan didn't give him face and returned to his own room. Qin Wenyan felt very baffled, but he couldn't be bothered with whether the other party was happy or not. What he needed to consider was the people around him. Although you are an extraordinary character, there's no reason for me to go over just because you want me to, right? If I don't go over to pay a visit, can't you come over and drink with me? Clearly, that expert thought too highly of himself and felt that Qin Wenyan had to give him face no matter what. Dong Huangying, who was at the side, giggled. Seems like this Qingqing Realm Lord's personality was like this. No matter who it was, he wouldn't give face to. Not long ago, he rejected her invitation and now, he even rejected another extraordinary character. This fellow. The people in the courtyard of the absolute beginning overlord were also speechless. They had specially paid a visit to the absolute beginning overlord, but it was difficult for them to even meet with him. This Qingqing Realm Lord was actually rejected despite the fact that the absolute beginning overlord personally invited him. Many people whispered to each other. Qin Wenyan felt extremely unhappy when he heard these voices. He clearly didn't have any appetite. But at this moment, a beautiful serving girl came over with food and wine. The fragrance of wine permeated the air. Qin Wenyan was somewhat taken aback. Do we still have food and wine that hasn't been served yet? Sir, you've misunderstood. This is the intention of our boss. We will serve the food and wine for free. In addition, in the future, Sir's accommodation in the inn will be paid for by our boss. Sir, you can stay as long as you want. The serving girl smiled. A strange look appeared on Qin Wenyan's face. This was truly an interesting person. There were truly many strange things happening in this place. However, his mood at this moment finally improved a little. Chapter 1765. The fragrance of the wine permeated the nostrils. Clearly, this wine was much better compared to the wine they drank earlier. When it entered their stomachs, they felt a scorching heat before it transformed into a clear current that circulated throughout their bodies, causing them to feel incomparably carefree. Qin Wenyan and the others only drank a small mouthful before they involuntarily praised, "Good wine. This wine is truly good." The inn's boss kept it for himself. Jun Mengchen laughed. Little rascal hugged the bowl and started gulping down the wine, looking extremely adorable. This inn's boss is truly an interesting character. Qin Wenyan laughed. Using world stones to order food and wine, yet it was inferior to the wine he gave away. What would the other customers think of this? However, the other party clearly didn't care about this. Although he didn't show his face, he gave them good wine and dishes. He was truly an interesting character. Before this, there were people who said that this inn's boss and the world overlord who invited him earlier were all extraordinary characters and told him to seek help from them. Right now, both of them have expressed their stances. The absolute beginning overlord was clearly arrogant and had a lofty view of himself. Compared to him, This inn's boss caused Qin Wendian to be more interested in him. It wasn't that he was biased towards the inn's boss because he gave him some benefits. Although the food and wine were good, it was merely a minor matter to him. As long as the two of them had the same attitude, Qin Wendian would naturally like the inn's boss more. The group of people enjoyed the banquet. There were many world overlords who came and left the 10 Miles Inn. The name of the Qingqing Realm Lord also began to circulate around Time City. Right now, many people outside the inn were discussing about this Qingqing Realm Lord. That expert from the Heaven Immortal Tower brought Qin Wendian away. He directly rejected the invitation of the little princess of the Donghuang clan and didn't seek protection from others. It seemed like he was extremely arrogant. But after that he killed 3 world overlords in a single battle, causing the Heaven Immortal Tower's promise of treasures to fall through. Now, no one dared to challenge him again. Who knew how powerful a transcendent-level world overlord like the Qingqing Realm Lord was exactly? That battle where he killed 3 world overlords wasn't a one-sided slaughter, it was a domineering insta-kill. For the sake of a treasure, he might even lose his life. It wasn't worth the risk. For experts who could kill transcendent-level world overlords, the temptation of the Heaven Immortal Tower's treasures wasn't that great. In addition, it was said that the absolute beginning overlord was also staying in that inn. He personally invited Qin Wendian to his place for a chat but was rejected by Qin Wendian. The absolute beginning overlord was in a bad mood, but the boss of the 10 Miles Inn actually gave him wine for free for the Qingqing Realm Lord to enjoy. This matter soon circulated, causing the name of the Qingqing Realm Lord to become extremely famous in Time City. Naturally, the people of Time City didn't feel too surprised. To the people of Time City, this was merely the norm in history. Before the commencement of every convention, there would always be someone who rose to fame and attracted the attention of others. This convention naturally wouldn't be an exception. The Qingqing Realm Lord wasn't the only one. At this moment, in other locations in Time City, there were also some things happening. There were some world overlords who displayed their brilliance. However, the people of Time City paid more attention to those powerful existences who were already famous in history. For those legendary characters, each of them had a soul-stirring story. For a newcomer like the Qingqing Realm Lord, he was merely a pursuer, inheriting the path of the predecessors. It was just that no one knew what heights he would reach in the future. Many people were paying attention to the movements in the Dragon Pool Manor. The Heaven Immortal Tower's plan was dissolved in a single battle. In that case, what should they do next? Could it be that the Dragon Pool Manor would personally send a powerful world overlord to suppress the Qingqing Realm Lord? At this moment, in a courtyard in the Dragon Pool Manor, a young world overlord stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. His aura was extraordinary and his entire person radiated a formless might. His name was Longyuan Haoyu and he was a genius world overlord of the Dragon Pool Manor. His status was extraordinary and Jin Ji was one of the many women he had. For a character like him, it was extremely normal for him to have many beauties. Everyone has desires, world overlords are humans as well, there was no exception. He had never married, but could it be that he wouldn't touch women? This was clearly impossible. Naturally, women to him weren't too important. Back then, Jin Ji took the initiative to tempt him and he didn't reject her. After that, he arranged for Jin Ji to work in the Heaven Immortal Tower and only a few people knew that Jin Ji was his woman. For such a matter, he naturally wouldn't publicize it. Jin Ji wasn't qualified to become his future wife and he also didn't have deep feelings for her. But even so, his woman naturally wasn't someone anyone could humiliate, let alone being abducted by someone else. He didn't want to admit it, but it was also a fact that the Qingqing Realm Lord had smacked his face and even caused the Heaven Immortal Tower to lose some face. Hence, he invited an elder in his clan who was in charge of the Heaven Immortal Tower to issue an order. This order was none other than the order he issued earlier. But even so, he didn't care too much about it. To him, this was merely a minor matter. As long as he captured Qin Wendian, he would be able to humiliate Qin Wendian and regain the face of the Heaven Immortal Tower. But the problem was that not only did he fail to accomplish this minor matter, This news actually circulated around because the person the Heaven Immortal Tower wanted to deal with was a transcendent-level world overlord who insta-killed 3 world overlords in a single battle. This matter even circulated around Time City, causing a huge commotion. That Qingqing Realm Lord borrowed the power of their Heaven Immortal Tower and instantly became famous. Many people were waiting for the Heaven Immortal Tower, or more accurately, for the Dragon Yuan clan's attitude. How you? A voice drifted over. Long Yuan Haoyu's eyes flashed as he replied through the air, "Uncle." Next, what are your thoughts? How do you intend to handle this matter? Right now, even your father already knows about this matter, but he didn't ask about it. After all, this matter was caused by you. That woman should be one of your people, right? A voice rang out in Long Yuan Haoyu's mind. Since such a thing happened, it was naturally impossible to hide it from his elders. "I'll go meet that Qingqing Realm Lord." Long Yuan Haoyu spoke. The other party replied. After that, there was no more sound. Although Long Yuan Haoyu was his junior, he was also an expert at the World Overlord realm. There was naturally no need for him to handle everything. In the future, everything in the clan would be passed down to the later generations. They didn't send anyone to suppress Qin Wenyin. Because, even if their Dragon Yuan clan could do it, would a major power in Time City be able to suppress a transcendent-level world overlord who participated in the convention of the myriad realms for the sake of a serving girl? Would their reputation be good? Would they be able to redeem the face of the Heaven Immortal Tower? Most probably, people would only criticize them, thinking that the Dragonpool clan didn't follow the rules when doing things. Don't forget that the cause of this matter was because that serving girl first berated the wife of the transcendent-level world overlord. The wife of a transcendent-level world overlord, how could a serving girl from the Heaven Immortal Tower casually berate her? Could it be that because the Heaven Immortal Tower belonged to the Dragonpool Manor, they can be so tyrannical? If the Dragonpool Manor continued to issue such an order, they would only be criticized by others. Hence, after that, the Heaven Immortal Tower didn't make any movements. The Dragonpool Manor was very calm as well, like they had forgotten about this matter. In fact, some people even felt that this matter would end here. Both parties would treat it as though nothing had happened and no longer pursue the matter. A serving girl offended a transcendent-level world overlord and was captured. How could a transcendent-level world overlord not have any temper? Qin Wenyin, who initially thought there would be more trouble, actually spent a few days in peace. Jin Ji also didn't have any temper at all. She was treated as a serving girl and served by his side. She was on the verge of despair. Did he give up on her just like that? Today, Qin Wenyin was in his courtyard when he suddenly frowned. After that, he asked, "Who is it?" "Long Yuan Haoyu." A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. "Have the people from the Dragonpool clan arrived?" "Come in." Qin Wentian calmly spoke. After that, the figure of a young man appeared before him. It was none other than Long Yuan Haoyu. A figure flashed over. Jin Ji had a look of joy on her face when she saw who it was. She called out, "Haoyu." Long Yuan Haoyu calmly glanced at her before shifting his gaze away. Just a single glance from him caused Jin Ji to feel her entire body turning cold, like she had fallen into an ice cellar. Jun Mengchen and the others respectively walked over. They stared at this uninvited guest with wariness in their eyes. This young man's aura was very strong and his surname was Long Yuan. Clearly, he came from that place. During these days, they have heard of the Dragonpool Manor's name many times. Qingqing Realm Lord. Long Yuan Haoyu stared at Qin Wenyin. "Recently, your fame has been extremely resounding in Time City. Just speak your mind." Qin Wenyin stared at him as he spoke. "Sure." Long Yuan Haoyu nodded lightly. "You brought that person away from my Heaven Immortal Tower, making things difficult for my Dragonpool Manor. Why don't we both take a step back? You send that person back to the Heaven Immortal Tower and the Heaven Immortal Tower will allow you to choose a divine weapon or accessory. Both sides would have a way out of this embarrassing situation. How about it?" Qin Wenyin stared at Long Yuan Haoyu as he coldly laughed in his heart. Wanting him to send the person back first meant that he had to compromise first, and the Heaven Immortal Tower would give him a treasure. Why don't the Heaven Immortal Tower send the treasure here as an apology first before I release the person? Although the cause of this matter was caused by this woman, if the Heaven Immortal Tower was fair and allowed her to apologize, I wouldn't have pursued this matter any further. Qin Wendian replied. He didn't have any objections to both sides having a way out of this embarrassing situation. But there was no reason for him to compromise first. The meaning behind this was completely different. Sir, why must you do this? My Dragonpool Manor has been established in Time City for many years, and no matter what, we have some reputation. Long Yuan Haoyu spoke. So, given how powerful the Dragonpool Manor is, I should take a step back, right? Qin Wendian smiled. Actually, there's no need to be so troublesome. Before this, I've already said this before in the Heaven Immortal Tower. I have no intention to make things difficult for the Heaven Immortal Tower or the Dragonpool Manor. The person who insulted my wife was this serving girl, hence, I captured her. She should pay the price for her actions. As for the Heaven Immortal Tower's reputation being tarnished because of this, I'll just treat it as though nothing has happened. In that case, sir, you don't intend to take a step back. Long Yuan Haoyu frowned. He had personally made a trip here, but this Qingqing Realm Lord still had such an attitude. If you came here to make me compromise, you can leave now. Qin Wendian impolitely spoke. He already said that he wouldn't pursue the matter of the Heaven Immortal Tower giving the order, and both sides could be considered to have let bygones be bygones. This was him taking a step back, and he also didn't want the matter to blow up. However, the Dragonpool Manor wanted him to send the person who insulted Qingqing back. Was this the attitude of the Dragonpool Manor? If this was the case, he would play along with them. Chapter 1766. Long Yuan Haoyu stared at Qin Wendian, his eyes gleaming with sharpness. Qin Wendian was chasing him away, not giving the Dragonpool Manor any face at all. He has already taken a step back, no longer finding trouble with the Dragonpool Manor. As long as he sent Qin Wendian back, the Heaven Immortal Tower would be willing to express goodwill and this matter would be resolved. However, Qin Wendian felt that the Heaven Immortal Tower should apologize first before he would release Qin Wendian. How domineering! Farewell. He spat out these two words, then flicked his sleeves and left with a tinge of anger. Qin Wendian stared at the departing back of Long Yuan Haoyu with no expression on his face. As expected of a world overlord from a peak power. Such arrogance was something he was born with. It was as though it was only natural for him to apologize first. Seeing Long Yuan Haoyu leaving just like that, Jin Ji's beautiful eyes stared ahead in a daze. Did he leave just like that? Her man personally came here, but Qin Wendian still refused to release her. At this moment, an intense sorrow filled her heart. This is your reliance? You think you are extraordinary because of this world overlord. However, he didn't even bother to look you in the eye. Qin Wendian had his back facing Jin Ji as he calmly spoke. His voice was like a knife that pierced into Jin Ji's heart. That's right, what did she count as? She was just a woman, he could give her up at any time. Most probably, he wouldn't be willing to have anything to do with her now. Pitiful woman, scram. Qin Wendian calmly spoke. Jin Ji started. She stared at Qin Wendian and asked in disbelief, "You want to release me? I want you to clearly see how pitiful you are. Consider it as you paying the price for your actions. What's the point of keeping you alive? I disdain to kill you." Qin Wendian still didn't look at Jin Ji. He had no sympathy at all. Pitiful people would naturally have their own despicable points. Jin Ji stared at Qin Wendian in a daze. Long Yuan Haoyu personally came to ask for her, and he replied domineeringly, wanting the Heaven Immortal Tower to apologize first. But after Long Yuan Haoyu left, he actually released her. This was the attitude of the Qingqing Realm Lord. The Dragonpool Manor wouldn't be able to force him to compromise. If he wanted to release them, he could do so. This was his attitude. He had his own pride. Jin Ji cast a deep glance at Qin Wendian before leaving this place. She wouldn't return to the Heaven Immortal Tower anymore. She also wouldn't look for Long Yuan Haoyu. Their relationship has already ended. Even if she went to look for Long Yuan Haoyu now, he most probably wouldn't want to see her. After Jin Ji left, Qin Wentian said to the void, "Have you seen enough? We were discovered." A low voice rang out. Then, a man in white robes walked out from the void. His entire body was white without a speck of dust. In fact, he even had a pair of white eyebrows. Only his pitch-black eyes were extremely spirited. How interesting. The Dragon Pool Manor came to ask for Qin Wentian, but you didn't agree to compromise. After that, you actually released him. You are truly an interesting person. The white-browed man smiled. Sir, it isn't too good to spy on us like this, right? Qin Wentian stared at the white-browed man. This. The white brows of the white brows twitched. After that, he smiled. I saw Long Yuan Haoyu coming here and thought he wanted to cause trouble. Hence, I decided to take a look. If he wants to cause trouble, what does it have to do with you? Qin Wentian asked. Naturally, it has to do with me. I'm the boss of this inn. The white-browed man spoke as though it was a matter of course. Qin Wentian started. This white-browed man before him, was he the boss of the 10 Miles Inn? That mysterious man who gave him good wine and delicacies, allowing him to stay in the inn for free. Even if you are the boss of the inn, you can just take a look if you want to. Using a world heart to spy on us? That's not very elegant. Qin Wentian laughed. Who knows if I would be discovered? The white-browed man mumbled in a depressed manner. After that, he smiled. In addition, this inn originally belongs to me. What's wrong with me taking a look? Don't forget that I'm staying here for free and I didn't charge you any world stones. You don't have to be calculative with me for such a small matter, right? Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines when he heard the white-browed man's serious tone. This fellow was truly a weirdo. What made him speechless was that he had no words to refute this logic. This inn did indeed belong to the white-browed man and he didn't have to pay anything for it. Seems like it's better for me to pay world stones. Qin Wentian speechlessly spoke. Don't joke around. I'm a very forthright person. This time around, I actually came here to treat you to some wine. You came to Time City because you want to participate in the convention of the Myriad Realms, right? I have a few drinking buddies who would also be participating in the convention this time around. Are you interested? The white-browed man continued, Oh yeah, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is 10 Miles Springwind. You can just call me 10 Miles. Such a poetic name can be considered extremely rare in the mortal world. It should be very easy to remember. I've discovered it. Qin Wentian's face turned black as he nodded. He had indeed discovered that this inn's owner was extremely narcissistic. He came here to peek but still claimed to be forthright and boasted about his own name. Simply shameless. Everyone is saying this. Although the name Qingqing Realm Lord sounds a little tacky, it's not bad. Although there's a big gap between my name and it's still quite catchy. 10 Miles Springwind seriously spoke. Jun Mengchen and the others who were behind Qin Wentian all had their eyes wide open as they stared dumbfoundedly at this world overlord. Today, it could be said that their worldview had been refreshed. So it turned out that world overlords could be so shameless as well. Let's go. If we are late, those few drunkards would come looking for me to drink again. 10 Miles Springwind urged. Qin Wentian glanced at the people behind him and asked, Are you guys going? We won't be joining in the fun. The few of them laughed. Although this inn's owner didn't seem to be arrogant at all and was somewhat shameless, it was clear that he wasn't an ordinary character. Since Qin Wentian was qualified to sit together with them, it didn't mean that they were qualified as well. Qin Wentian nodded. He stared at 10 Miles Springwind and spoke, Let's go. Right, don't worry. We will stay in the inn and we can see the situation here. Nothing will happen. 10 Miles Springwind spoke. After all, this was his inn. He still had this bit of confidence in himself. Qin Wentian left together with 10 Miles Springwind. Jun Mengchen stared at their departing backs as he felt a huge mental blow. This can't do. I have to enter closed-door seclusion. There are so many world overlords in Time City. This is too much of a mental blow. If you directly used your Heaven Heart mandate to infer your world heart, wouldn't you be able to break through to the world overlord realm earlier? Yet you have to learn from when in and reap what you sow. Umph. Little Rascal mumbled. Jun Mingchen directly rapped Little Rascal on his head. Since senior brother can do it, could it be that I can't as well? If you are not convinced, why don't we fight it out? When he heard his words, Little Rascal shrank his head and mumbled, "Violent maniac." Qin Wenyan followed the 10 miles spring wind and arrived at an independent pavilion. This was the best location in the inn, and one would be able to see the best scenery there was. There was only a single pavilion, and it was surrounded by lush greenery. Drinking wine here was indeed an extremely enjoyable thing. When Qin Wenyan arrived, he saw that there were already 3 people in the pavilion. An old man, a middle-aged man, and a woman. These 3 were completely different, yet they were gathered together. In addition to 10 miles spring wind, the 4 of them could be said to have 4 different styles. The first person Qin Wenyan glanced at was that old man, because he had seen him before. Before this, when he first arrived at Time City, he met that old man with a stooped back. He didn't expect that this old man was a friend of 10 miles spring wind. He actually met him here again. The old man narrowed his eyes as he surveyed Qin Wenyan. The middle-aged man was clad in a blood-red robe and was extremely conspicuous. He had a beard, thick brows, and large eyes. His long hair reached his shoulders, and he exuded a sense of imposingness. His aura was like that of an emperor, extraordinary. The woman looked very young. She was clad in a tight-fitting long dress that perfectly accentuated her fiery figure. Her beauty was comparable to Jin Ji, but she had a more heroic air to her. "Little pretty boy, you have been gone for so long. Did you prepare some good wine for us?" The old man narrowed his eyes as he smiled at 10 miles spring wind. His gaze was extremely wretched. "If you continue to address me like this, you won't be able to drink any wine today." 10 miles spring wind was just bragging to Qin Wenyan when his lie was exposed. He couldn't help but to be angered. "Sure, the handsome spring wind world overlord, what good wine did you prepare?" The old man was like a drunkard, asking for wine from 10 miles spring wind. "This way of addressing me is acceptable." Only then did 10 miles spring wind nod. He brought Qin Wenyan to the pavilion and took out a flask of wine. "This is the wine for today." "Just this little?" The old man spoke in a depressed manner. "It's not even enough to dry my teeth. Are you trying to send a beggar away? There's a new friend here today. Let's add another flask." 10 miles spring wind took out another flask of wine. "Back then when Phoenix joined us, you weren't so stingy. Could it be that you look down on new friends?" The old man laughed. Cough, cough. 10 miles spring wind coughed and spoke straightforwardly. "Am I such a person? I'm just joking with you guys. There are only 3 flasks of wine left. Old ghost, you should know that it isn't so easy to obtain such wine. 1 flask per person. Phoenix, he looks down on you." The old man spoke to the young woman. "Back then when Phoenix first came here, he only added 2 flasks of wine." "Boring, I'm leaving. Don't call me in the future." The young woman turned and prepared to leave. "Fine, I will add 2 more flasks as an apology." 10 miles spring wind didn't expect these fellows to be so despicable. After 10,000 years, they had become even more shameless. "This is how my big brother 10 miles should be." The young woman turned and smiled. 10 miles spring wind was on the verge of tears. "Brother Chow, I'm loyal enough this time around, right?" 10 miles spring wind glanced at the middle-aged man. "I'm the ruler of the boundless territories. What can I not have? Good wine and beautiful women, I can easily obtain them. Only in your territory, it's so difficult to even drink a cup of wine. Moreover, it's only once every 10,000 years. What's there to say?" The middle-aged man calmly spoke, his voice filled with imposingness. "You guys are ruthless." 10 miles spring wind took out another 8 flasks of wine. After that, he tossed the interspatial ring on the table and spoke, "It's already empty. If you don't believe me, you guys can take a look for yourselves. This is how Brother 10 miles should be. Straightforward." A smile instantly appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Everyone's expressions changed faster than flipping the pages of a book. All right, it's time to introduce our new friends. The old man smiled at Qin Wenin. Recently, your fame seems to be quite high. Even the Dragon Pool Manor dares to antagonize you. Seems like old sir already knows about it. Qin Wenin smiled. Staying in this lousy inn, it's difficult even if I don't want to know. Phoenix smiled at Qin Wenin. Chapter 1767. 10 Miles Springwind laughed. You guys are all great Buddhas. It's really unfair for you to stay in my inn. That's true. The middle-aged man nodded seriously. I know you have a great background and I can't afford to serve you. If you have the capabilities, don't drink the wine today. 10 Miles Springwind angrily spoke. I still have to drink the wine. The middle-aged man ignored him. 10 Miles Springwind was speechless. He glanced at Qin Wenin. Seems like they all know you. Since this is the case, let me introduce them to you. This beautiful young lady is a phoenix, not a demon. Her name is Phoenix. This arrogant fellow has an extremely tyrannical name. His name is Chao Tian. I wonder how his parents named him. If you dare to say this in front of them, I guarantee that you won't be able to live past the next second. Chao Tian coldly snorted. Yes, your background is impressive. 10 Miles Springwind spoke in disdain. As for this shameless old man, you can just call him Old Ghost. After speaking, 10 Miles Springwind took out 5 wine cups and poured a cup for everyone. I won't say too much. Being acquainted with each other is fate. Since Brother Qin is able to come here today, after drinking this cup of wine, we are all brothers. Come cheers. Seems like on account of little friend Qin, I won't be calculative with you. The old man coldly glanced at 10 Miles Springwind before raising his cup to Qin Wenin. Brother Qin, my personality is somewhat arrogant, causing others to feel uncomfortable just by looking at me. In the future when we interact with each other, please bear with me. Chao Tian straightforwardly spoke as he raised his cup to Qin Wenin. Phoenix also smiled at Qin Wenin. This group of people were all very friendly. Qin Wenin stared at their gazes and couldn't help but feel that there was a conspiracy. However, since everyone was so cordial, he could only raise his cup. The 5 of them drank together. As the wine entered their stomachs, an indescribably wondrous feeling manifested. At this instant, Qin Wenin only felt that his entire body was incomparably clear. It was as though his state of heart had become more transparent. Even his senses became clearer. This feeling was too wondrous. Good wine. Qin Wenin praised. That fellow has always been stingy. It's rare to be able to drink his wine even once in 10,000 years. This wine is naturally good wine, every drop of it is priceless. It can allow one's state of heart to become clearer and their senses to grow stronger. In addition, it also has the effect of tempering one's body. You will be able to sense it if you continue drinking it. It's extremely useful even for world overlords. Old Ghost wasn't stingy with his praises for this wine. Qin Wenin nodded his head. Seems like this wine was even more precious than elixirs. He wanted to get a few bottles for Qing'er and Qingqing to taste. It was just that it wasn't convenient for him to ask for such a precious wine. You guys make it sound so easy. Every time there's a gathering, you guys only know how to ask for wine. However, you guys don't know that even if I had 10,000 years, I wouldn't be able to get much wine. My background isn't as great as Brother Chao. Why don't you guys get him to get better wine? 10 Miles Springwind spoke. It's not like you don't know his situation. Why do you have to say that? Phoenix faintly spoke. She stared at the bewildered Qin Wenin as she explained, Brother Chao's identity is somewhat special. However, he chose to establish his own sect and became a hegemon of a region. Emichim, Qin Wenin nodded. It wasn't good for him to probe too deeply. After all, this was the first time they met. It wasn't good to ask some questions openly. But from their words, this Chao Tian should have a very powerful background. It was just that he might have some conflicts with his clan and decided to establish his own sect. These are all matters of the past, they aren't worth mentioning. Chao Tian took a flask of wine and poured a cup for Qin Wenin. At such a time, we should only talk about wine. As he spoke, he directly poured the wine into his mouth, causing Qin Wenin to be dumbfounded. 10 Miles Spring Wind was speechless when he saw this scene. Old Ghost also took a flask of wine and started drinking as though he was afraid he would be at a disadvantage. After that, Phoenix followed suit. A sexy beauty also followed suit and drank the wine. Such a scene caused Qin Wenin to be speechless. These people were all world overlords with extraordinary statuses. They were truly some of the best. But since they said they were brothers, they couldn't be at a disadvantage, right? Hence, Qin Wenin also took a flask of wine and directly poured it into his mouth. 10 Miles Spring Wind howled in grief and could only follow suit. Over 10 flasks of wine were emptied in the blink of an eye. How was this wine tasting? This was clearly snatching wine. This was the first time Qin Wenin saw people drinking like this. Are you satisfied now? 10 Miles Spring Wind stared angrily at them. What a waste of heavenly treasures. Shouldn't wine be tasted carefully? 10 Miles, you have always been forthright. It's rare for Brother Qin to join us today. If you still have any left, just take them out and enjoy them. Old Ghost spoke to 10 Miles Spring Wind. Scram. 10 Miles Spring Wind's face turned red. How could he be fooled again? Even if he still had some left, he was determined not to take them out. He stared at these people and spoke, "It's boring to drink with you guys." Qin Wenin smiled. He also snatched quite a lot of wine and right now, he could feel a huge transformation in his body. It was like he was undergoing an intense tempering. Every part of his body was undergoing a transformation and this feeling was extremely good. He couldn't bear to drink all of it and wanted to secretly bring some away. However, if he did that, it would truly be too insincere. Alright, since we have finished drinking, let's talk about proper business next. 10 Miles Spring Wind spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at 10 Miles Spring Wind. Proper business? Since Brother Qin has already joined us, from now on, we are brothers of the same family. During these days, news of Brother Qin's death has spread like wildfire in Time City. You all should already know that the Heaven Immortal Tower has gone too far, but the Dragon Pool Manor has no intentions of apologizing at all. On the contrary, they even offered a bounty for people to capture Brother Qin. After 3 world overlords were killed, not long ago, another world overlord from the Dragon Pool Manor came over and his attitude was as domineering as before. I'm sure they wouldn't spare Brother Qin. 10 Miles Spring Wind spoke. Qin Wenin felt a little bewildered. Why did they suddenly talk about his matters? That's true. The Heaven Immortal Tower has gone too far. Old Ghost narrowed his eyes, as though they had a common enemy. We have to vent this anger on behalf of Brother Qin. In addition, we should create some trouble for the Dragon Pool Manor so that they won't have time to find trouble for Brother Qin. 10 Miles Spring Wind continued. I have no objections to this. Do you have any objections? Phoenix asked. The few of them echoed each other. However, Qin Wenin felt that these fellows were clearly putting on an act. Why did it seem like they had discussed this beforehand and intentionally invited him over for a drink? Let us ransack the Heaven Immortal Tower. 10 Miles Spring Wind's next sentence caused Qin Wenin to be completely dumbfounded. Ransack the Heaven Immortal Tower? The power behind the Heaven Immortal Tower was none other than the Dragon Pool Manor. Ransacking the Heaven Immortal Tower? Was this a declaration of war against the Dragon Pool Manor? This was different from him capturing a serving girl. The weight of a serving girl wasn't enough to alarm the Dragon Pool Manor. But ransacking the Heaven Immortal Tower was a completely different matter. This was definitely a declaration of war. Were these fellows crazy? For the sake of Brother Qin. 10 Miles Spring Wind spoke with a straight face. Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines. He was completely speechless. Only a ghost would believe 10 Miles Spring Wind's words. The first time they met, Qin Wenin wanted to ransack the Heaven Immortal Tower for him? What a joke. A conspiracy. This was definitely a conspiracy. A good idea. Chao Tian nodded. Old Ghost, what do you think? I have no objections. Old Ghost narrowed his eyes as he smiled. The treasures in the Heaven Immortal Tower are all weapons used by women. Since I'm the only beauty here, I naturally have to be the one to choose first. Phoenix stared at them as her eyes gleamed with light. That was the Heaven Immortal Tower. She naturally had been there before. The weapons and treasures of the women, there were so many that she couldn't bear to part with them. It's only right. 10 Miles Springwind nodded. Brother Chin, what do you think? All of us brothers will help you vent your anger. There's no need for you to be grateful. I've already said it before after drinking the wine, we are all brothers. 10 Miles Springwind patted Chin Wenyan on his shoulder. Chin Wenyan gained a new understanding of how shameless this fellow was. We have to make things clear, I don't want to be sold out by you guys. Chin Wenyan spoke. The Dragon Pool Manor is a peak power in Time City. Can you guys contend against them? Robbing the Heaven Immortal Tower? Why do you want to contend against the Dragon Pool Manor? 10 Miles Springwind stared at Chin Wenyan. It's not like you haven't been to the Heaven Immortal Tower before. The Dragon Pool Manor is very confident that there are only 3 world overlords guarding it, and they believe that no one would dare to touch them in Time City. As long as they control the 3 world overlords, they would be able to easily control the entire Heaven Immortal Tower and snatch away all the treasures in the shortest amount of time without anyone knowing. The Dragon Pool Manor can slowly investigate this, and in that case, they wouldn't have the time to find trouble with Brother Chin. You guys have already discussed this, right? Why did you come looking for me? Chin Wenyan could see that 10 Miles Springwind had already thought this through. How could he not know that 10 Miles Springwind had already discussed this? Naturally, it's because of Brother Chin's charisma. 10 Miles Springwind spoke with a straight face. Chin Wenyan had a black expression on his face. 10 Miles Springwind laughed awkwardly. He patted Chin Wenyan on his shoulder. Since Brother Chin wants to know, I will speak the truth then. It's a fact that the Heaven Immortal Tower is unscrupulous, and it's also a fact that they sent people to capture you. Since they have gone too far, why can't we make a move against them? There are many good treasures in the Heaven Immortal Tower. What we are doing is called a gentleman's love for wealth. Even if this is the case, you guys can totally do it yourselves. Why must you look for me? If the Dragon Pool Manor discovers this, could it be that I will be the scapegoat? Chin Wenyan stared at 10 Miles Springwind. He had to make things clear. Such a major matter wasn't something he could joke about. If the Dragon Pool Manor knew who was the one who robbed the Heaven Immortal Tower, what would they do? They would definitely take revenge in a frenzy. Brother Chin, I'm staying in Time City and have opened an inn. Brother Chao Tian also has a strong foundation and would be able to easily track us down. Could it be that you think that if this matter is exposed, we can just walk away? 10 Miles Springwind spoke. Don't worry, even if this matter is exposed, we will get Brother Chao Tian to step out at that time. At that time, we can just say that we are standing up for Brother Chin. At that time, let's see what the Dragon Pool Manor can do. Now, do you understand why I dragged you into this? Shameless. Chin Wenyan was completely speechless as he stared at 10 Miles Springwind. So it turned out that 10 Miles Springwind had already thought of this. If this matter was exposed, they would be able to use Chao Tian's background to suppress the Dragon Pool Manor. In that case, Chao Tian's background could even suppress the Dragon Pool Manor. Chin Wenyan stared at these people before him. These fellows were truly top-grade characters. Brother Chin, we are doing this for you. Just tell me if you want to do it or not. Even if you don't want to do it, given the attitude of the Dragon Pool Manor's world overlord when he left earlier, they would definitely come looking for you sooner or later. Why don't we strike first? If you are still worried, you can go outside and investigate Brother Chao Tian's identity. By then, you would know if I'm lying to you or not. 10 Miles Springwind spoke to Chin Wenyan. Chin Wenyan's heart pounded. Robbing the Heaven Immortal Tower. Chapter 1768. When Chin Wenyan first came to the Supreme Ancient Immortal Realms, he was already a bandit. Now, he was already a world overlord, ruling over boundless territories. Yet, he actually wanted to start all over again? Become a bandit at the world overlord level? given his personality, he naturally wanted to do so. After all, the Heaven Immortal Tower gave the order to capture him and his friends. If he had enough strength, he would have long since destroyed the Heaven Immortal Tower. Yet, they actually dared to give such an order instead of killing 3 world overlords. Those 3 world overlords were merely doing the job. The one who gave the order was the Heaven Immortal Tower. However, when he thought about the risks involved in this matter, he hesitated. The Heaven Immortal Tower was the one who treated you unjustly first. There's nothing to consider. We should take revenge directly. Naturally, if you suspect our intentions and are worried that we will harm you, you can directly reject. We won't force you. Chao Tian directly spoke. Just like what he said, his personality was like this. He was very direct when he spoke. 10 Miles Springwind and the others also turned their gazes to Qin Wenyin, only to see Qin Wentian's expression flickering. After that, he spoke, "I agree." Straightforward. Chao Tian nodded. "I didn't drink this wine for nothing. From now on, we are brothers of the same family. I admit that I'm older than you. If you are willing to call me Big Brother Chao, that's fine too. Naturally, you can also call me Brother Chao. Do as you wish. Since Brother Qin has agreed, it's just a matter of time. Everyone, when do you all think we should do it?" 10 Miles Springwind laughed. That was the Heaven Immortal Tower. There were many treasures there. Every time they traded a treasure, the profits would be extremely high. It was much better compared to him opening an inn. There's no time like the present. Let's do it tonight. Chao Tian was a little impatient and directly spoke. "I agree." Old Ghost's eyes narrowed into slits as he nodded. "I have no objections either." Phoenix laughed. "Since this is the case, let's make our move tonight. Let's take advantage of the fact that many people are shopping in the Heaven Immortal Tower to make our move. Let's discuss our strategy for tonight and leave immediately after we succeed. If not, given the strength of the Dragon Pool Manor, it's best if we don't clash head-on with them. But if there really is a conflict, we will fight while retreating. If not, Brother Chao, you will be the one to take the blame." 10 Miles Springwind spoke. Chao Tian nodded. The group of them discussed, and after that, they departed. Only when night arrived did 10 Miles Springwind gather everyone. 5 silhouettes left the inn in a stealthy manner, heading towards the direction of the Heaven Immortal Tower. Tonight, the Heaven Immortal Tower was exceptionally lively. The lanterns were all lit up. It was like daytime inside. Before the convention of the Myriad Realms, the Heaven Immortal Tower would never lack customers. This was especially so for females. As for those major characters, they would naturally be willing to buy some gifts for their women before the convention. This was also a way to satisfy their vanity. Right now, Qin Wenyin and the others were already inside the Heaven Immortal Tower. Naturally, they used different methods to enter, concealing their original appearances and auras. World overlords had many methods. This naturally wouldn't pose a problem to them. And to Qin Wenyin, it was even simpler. The plan today was for Qin Wenyin, Phoenix, and Chao Tian to control the 3 world overlords, not allowing them to do anything. The main point was naturally to monitor their messaging crystals. Next was to control the entire Heaven Immortal Tower. For this point, Old Ghost would be in charge. He controlled everyone in the Heaven Immortal Tower, including all the guests. Among them, there would surely be many world overlords. Naturally, they wouldn't offend them for no reason. They only wanted to watch the show. They believed that the world overlords here would also be happy to watch the show. The main reason was to guard against those people who had connections with the Dragon Pool Manor. As for the last task, 10 Miles Springwind would be in charge. The division of labor was very clear. At this moment, Qin Wenyin already had a different face. He was like a customer, leisurely strolling around the Heaven Immortal Tower. At the same time, his immortal sense was locked onto his 4 companions, communicating via voice transmission. The 3 world overlords are in 3 different directions. I will control the one in the center, Old Hua. Brother Qin, you control the one on the left. As for Phoenix, I'll leave the one on the right to you. Chao Tian's voice rang out in the minds of Qin Wenyin and Phoenix. Qin Wenyan nodded and headed towards the left direction of the Heaven Immortal Tower. The Heaven Immortal Tower was very vast, but no matter how large it was, it couldn't be bigger than the immortal sense of a world overlord. In a luxurious room on the left, there was a world overlord there. Also, there were two beauties serving this world overlord, and he seemed to be enjoying himself. These two beauties were serving maids of the Heaven Immortal Tower. They were arranged by him to enter this place. There was definitely something fishy going on. Who is it? At this moment, this world overlord abruptly opened his eyes. There was actually someone's immortal sense that landed on him, causing wariness to rise in his heart. A figure directly traversed through space and appeared before him. His expression instantly changed as a powerful aura gushed forth. But at this moment he felt an intense sense of danger. The surrounding scenery changed, everything changed. This place was no longer his room but an independent space. This was the power of a Heaven Heart mandate, an illusion-type Heaven Heart mandate. You aren't my opponent. I advise you not to move or die. Qin Wenyan coldly spoke. Right now, he had disguised his appearance and his aura had changed as well. He naturally didn't use the power of his world heart. This world overlord had sensed it once and he mustn't let him recognize him. Against this world overlord, it was sufficient to use his Heaven Heart mandate. Who are you? He stared at the eyes of this world overlord. Those eyes were like the eyes of a devil, able to cause people to fall into a trap. An intense sense of danger bloomed in his heart. It was like what this world overlord said: if he really acted, he would be killed on the spot. You don't need to care about who I am. Today, I came to the Heaven Immortal Tower to do some things. You just need to stay in this space and cooperate with me. I won't kill you. If not, die. As Qin Wenyan spoke, the terrifying Heaven Heart mandate energy enveloped the world overlord. That world overlord felt the might of his Heaven Heart mandate and didn't dare to move recklessly. The disparity between them was too great. World overlords were extremely sensitive to the disparity in strength. There was no way to make up for this disparity. Those two serving girls naturally wouldn't spoil things. With a single thought from Qin Wenyan, he caused them to fall into a trap of illusions, unable to extricate themselves. Right now, they should still be in a state of terror. At the same time Qin Wenyan acted, Chao Tian and Phoenix also acted. The two of them used absolute superiority in strength to suppress the world overlords they were in charge of. In an instant, the three world overlords of the Heaven Immortal Tower were all restrained. In the Heaven Immortal Tower, terrifying beams of sharpness flashed. That was the light from the eyes of the world overlords. The three directions were filled with powerful Heaven Heart mandates. How could the world overlords who were extremely sensitive to such energy not sense it? They instantly sent out their immortal senses to investigate what was happening. And at this moment, Old Ghost, who was in the center of the Heaven Immortal Tower, released his Heaven Heart mandate. In just an instant, this energy enveloped the entire Heaven Immortal Tower. This was the newly comprehended Heaven Heart mandate he had never used before. Hence, no one would know that it was him. When this type of Heaven Heart mandate was released, the entire Heaven Immortal Tower was filled with dark violet strands of light. Each strand was like a thin thread, but the world overlords could feel a terrifying destructive might from each strand of light. It felt like as long as the person controlling the strand of light willed it, they would be able to kill and reap their lives. The people of the Heaven Immortal Tower all halted their steps as their eyes flashed. This was especially so for the world overlords. Their eyes gleamed with sharpness. Everyone, stand there and don't move. Cooperate with us. We came to the Heaven Immortal Tower to handle some matters and won't implicate you all. But if anyone dares to move recklessly, take out your messaging crystal and we will kill you all without mercy. A voice rang out through the entire Heaven Immortal Tower, ringing out in the ears of everyone. As he spoke, in a certain direction of the Heaven Immortal Tower, a few Empyreans were hurriedly trying to hide some treasures. But at this moment, a figure walked out from the void. With a grab, the treasure was directly taken away and vanished. At the same time, a beam of dark violet light pierced through those Empyreans who were hiding their treasures. The immortal senses of everyone instantly saw the bodies of those Empyreans solidifying before they disintegrated into dust. What a terrifying heaven-heart mandate! The hearts of everyone trembled. The dark violet strands of light in this space contained a supremely terrifying heaven-heart mandate. They mustn't touch them no matter what. Bandits, that world overlord who is walking in the void is frenziedly plundering. They saw someone walking in the void, unceasingly plundering the treasures in the Heaven Immortal Tower with unbelievable speed. At this instant, the hearts of everyone pounded. No wonder the people controlling the Heaven Immortal Tower didn't allow anyone to move recklessly. So it turned out that they wanted to plunder the Heaven Immortal Tower. In Time City, during the commencement of the Convention of the Myriad Realms, there was actually someone plundering the Heaven Immortal Tower that was controlled by the Dragon Pool Manor. This was simply too crazy. There were many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in the convention. Could it be that a supreme world overlord bandit group came? But even so, they even dared to plunder the Heaven Immortal Tower that was controlled by the Dragon Pool Manor. Wasn't their guts a little too great? This was something that had never happened before. This was equivalent to declaring war against the Dragon Pool Manor. At this moment, outside the Heaven Immortal Tower, there were currently people who wanted to take a stroll. From afar, they could already see that the Heaven Immortal Tower was enveloped by a mysterious and powerful energy. The dark violet light flowed about, completely enveloping the Heaven Immortal Tower. Even from afar, one could already sense how terrifying this energy was. What happened? Someone exclaimed in shock. Something seems to have happened to the Heaven Immortal Tower. More and more experts arrived. When they sensed the energy enveloping the Heaven Immortal Tower, their expressions drastically changed. They took out their messaging crystals and reported, "Someone is acting against the Heaven Immortal Tower." The sound was like a clap of thunder in the dark night, exploding in the night sky. For a moment, it was unknown how many people were alarmed. All of this happened in a very short period of time. The frantic plundering inside was still going on. Old Ghost directly transmitted his voice. "There's no time. The matter has been exposed. It's time to retreat." "Right, let's retreat." 10 Miles Springwind, who was in the midst of plundering, stopped his actions. He transmitted his voice over to the four of them. After that, 5 silhouettes arced through the air with lightning speed, directly leaving the Heaven Immortal Tower. The space above the Heaven Immortal Tower exploded as the entire tower started to collapse. Chapter 1769. The speed at which the 5 of them left was extremely fast. They knew that if the Dragon Pool Manor received the news, they would definitely send reinforcements within a short period of time. How powerful was the immortal sense of a world overlord? It could cover a vast area. Naturally, Time City was extremely large as well. This wasn't a small city like the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms in the past. A single Time City was even more vast compared to the entire outer Azure Mystic Immortal Realms in the lower world. This was how terrifying the central city of the Mystic region was. If not for some extremely powerful powers that had developed for countless years and had millions of people, how would they settle down? Don't think that the powers in Time City were the same as those powers in the past. For a power like the Dragon Pool Manor, a single manor was equivalent to a supreme empire. How fast was the speed of world overlords? They could travel millions of miles in an instant. After the 5 of them exited, they immediately headed towards a certain direction and entered 10 Miles Springwind's World Heart domain. It was like an independent space, moving through the void. In just an instant, Qin Wenyan could sense them descending. After that, the 5 of them appeared in a courtyard. "Boo!" 10 Miles Springwind drew in a deep breath. With a wave of his hand, he sealed this space. He smiled. "Awesome, but there was some danger. There seems to be a world overlord outside and he has been locking onto me. Luckily, I'm fast enough and managed to shake him off." "We returned to the inn just like that?" Qin Wenyan started as he asked. "Naturally. What do you think?" 10 Miles Springwind cast a strange glance at Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan was actually speechless. This speed was simply too terrifying. This was the power of 10 Miles Springwind's world heart. It had an unfathomable ability. You guys return first. I will temporarily take care of the treasures and we will distribute them tomorrow. Most probably, the Dragonpool Manor would soon investigate this place. 10 Miles Springwind spoke. The others nodded. Old Ghost then spoke, retreat. As he spoke, his figure flashed and disappeared. He naturally did not think that he would be safe after returning to the inn. Qin Wenyan thought about it and understood. He also directly returned to his residence. Although he has broken through to the World Overlord realm, it was true that he wasn't used to the way World Overlords do things. Many times, he would still think things the way he did in the past. But now, things were different. He was already a World Overlord and the powers he came into contact with were all extremely powerful ones. For a power like the Dragonpool Manor, they would be able to investigate all the places they could investigate within a short period of time. As for those powers that were stronger than them, they naturally wouldn't do such a thing. As expected, not long after, a powerful immortal sense swept through the 10 Miles Inn. 10 Miles Springwind's silhouette flashed as he directly appeared in the air. He was somewhat unhappy as he coldly spoke. Sir, what do you mean by this? The tavern owners were all alarmed. They walked out one after another, staring into the sky in annoyance. My apologies for disturbing everyone. Today, my Heaven Immortal Tower encountered bandits and we are currently investigating. Please forgive us. The World Overlord in the air spoke. After all, it was very impolite to use his immortal sense to forcefully pry into someone else's residence. That's your matter, what does it have to do with my inn? Since you are disturbing the business of my inn, scram. 10 Miles Springwind coldly spoke, sounding extremely domineering. That World Overlord frowned but he still clasped his hands. Sorry for disturbing everyone. Farewell. Even for people from the Dragonpool Manor, it was impossible for them to offend all the World Overlords here. This time around, there were many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in Time City. The people staying here might be from a major power, they naturally couldn't be too rude. Tonight, it was destined that things wouldn't be peaceful. The Dragonpool Manor was investigating Time City and this news shook the entire city. The news of the Heaven Immortal Tower being ransacked circulated through the entire ancient city, causing a huge commotion. There was actually someone so crazy, ransacking the Heaven Immortal Tower. This was simply too audacious. It was said that this incident happened in an extremely short period of time. The 3 World Overlords guarding the Heaven Immortal Tower were all controlled by the Dragonpool Manor. In addition, many other World Overlords in the Heaven Immortal Tower were also restrained by the Dragonpool Manor. If it wasn't for the people outside arriving, they might not even have discovered this. Tonight, many major characters erupted with resentment, angrily berating the people from the Dragonpool Manor. They were naturally unhappy that their information was forcefully spied on. In fact, there were even World Overlords from the Dragonpool Manor who were detained. After the Dragonpool Manor explained and apologized, they were released. After all, these major characters also didn't wish to offend the Dragonpool Manor. Hence, it was understandable that the Heaven Immortal Tower was ransacked. But even though the Dragonpool Manor swiftly swept through Time City, they still couldn't find any traces of the culprit. The culprit fled too quickly, vanishing into the void in an instant. Everyone could guess that the culprit must have mixed in with the crowd. But so what of it? Right now, there were so many World Overlords in Time City. Who could be sure who the culprit was? Many people guessed that if they didn't capture the culprit back then, it would be extremely difficult to find him again. After all, a World Overlord who could ransack the Heaven Immortal Tower was definitely not an ordinary character. How would they give you a second chance? This matter caused a huge commotion. Qin Wenyan and the others silently split the spoils. The 5 of them each took a portion. With such a major incident happening in the Heaven Immortal Tower, the people from the Dragonpool Manor naturally didn't have the mood to find trouble with Qin Wenyan. They were currently investigating based on the descriptions given by Old Hua and the other 2, as well as the auras released by the 5 people who robbed the Heaven Immortal Tower. They naturally understood that it was impossible to investigate based on appearances. As for strength, it was impossible to change it. However, they discovered that there were still no clues at all. Several days later, in the 10 Miles Inn, Qin Wenyan just returned from drinking wine with 10 Miles Springwind. That fellow 10 Miles Springwind said that he had already finished all the wine, but for the next few days, he would take out a few jugs of wine every day, saying that he was the last few jugs. Qin Wenyan finally understood one thing. The words of 10 Miles Springwind absolutely couldn't be trusted. This was especially so with regards to wine. In the room, only Qing'er and Qingqing were beside Qin Wenyan. Before them, there was a pile of accessories and treasures, dazzling to the eyes. Only now did they know that the robbery that caused such a huge commotion was actually done by Qin Wenyan and his new friends. Wenyan, don't do such dangerous things in the future. Qingqing spoke in a light voice. The reason why the Heaven Immortal Tower had a grudge was all because of her. How is there any danger? Qin Wenyan smiled. He was searching for treasures that were suitable for Qing'er and Qingqing. However, these treasures were all plundered from the Heaven Immortal Tower, and it wasn't convenient for him to take them out in Time City. However, he could let them choose and keep them with them. Come and choose. Although they were plundered, there's no need to feel any guilt over the treasures plundered from the Heaven Immortal Tower. Qin Wenyan smiled. Mo Qingqing smiled and nodded. The Heaven Immortal Tower wanted to use a single treasure to capture them. She naturally knew what the consequences would be if they were captured. But now, Qin Wenyan actually plundered the Heaven Immortal Tower, and all the treasures were in their hands. Qingqing chose a few exquisite pieces of divine weapon accessories and even helped Qin choose them. She said, "Elder sister Qin, these are all suitable for you. If you wear them, you will definitely be able to mesmerize this fellow." "I don't want to." Shook her head shyly and said in a crisp voice, "No way. After we return to the Qingqing Saint Hall, I will definitely make you wear them." Qingqing giggled. At this moment, her gaze landed on a pendant. This pendant was currently flashing with a bright light, attracting her attention. Qin Wenyan and Qing'er also stared at that pendant in bewilderment. Qin Wenyan spoke, "This pendant is a little strange. I wonder what sort of treasure it is." Mo Qingqing stretched out her hand and casually hung the pendant around her neck. The moment the pendant came into contact with her skin, a resplendent light suddenly radiated from it, illuminating the entire room and extending outwards. Qin Wenyan waved his hand as a formless and powerful energy enveloped the light, exerting an even stronger sealing force. Qin Wenyan stared at Mo Qingqing. At this moment, a resplendent light radiated from her body. A phoenix robe could be faintly seen as a pair of phoenix wings manifested, causing Mo Qingqing's body to float in the air. The pendant directly seeped into Mo Qingqing's skin, as though it wanted to fuse together with her body. An extremely complicated diagram appeared, resembling a supremely powerful formation that shone with resplendent light. In an instant, an extremely powerful energy gushed forth from the pendant, frenziedly seeping into Mo Qingqing's body. Arg! Mo Qingqing let out a cry of shock, as though she had no way to endure that terrifying energy. A look of agony appeared on her face as her countenance completely changed. Qingqing. Qin Wenyan had a look of shock on his face. His silhouette flashed, wanting to hug Mo Qingqing. However, a formless and terrifying energy directly repelled him back. Right now, he was in existence at the World Overlord realm, but the energy released by the pendant was actually able to repel him. This was simply unbelievable. His countenance was as pale as paper. He rushed forward again, and this time around, he used an even more tyrannical force before he managed to break free from the restraints binding him. He finally managed to hug Mo Qingqing. Right now, Mo Qingqing was in extreme pain. Qing'er's countenance also changed. She wanted to rush forward, but she had no way to get close to Mo Qingqing. What's going on? Qin Wenyan didn't understand. Why would a mere accessory be able to trigger such a terrifying energy? What treasure was that exactly? The phoenix robe that appeared on Mo Qingqing's skin was a gift given to her by Uncle Black during her wedding. It has long fused together with Emo Qingqing's skin and could be summoned at any time. Why would it activate now? Was it to protect Emo Qingqing? At this moment, Qin Wenyan was afraid. It was very rare for him to be so afraid. He was helpless and he didn't know what he should do. I'll be fine. Emo Qingqing gritted her teeth when she saw the worried look on Qin Wentian's face. Although she was in extreme pain, her beautiful eyes were as gentle as ever. Qingqing. Qin Wenyan hugged her tightly. Nothing must happen to her. At this moment, in a place extremely far away from Time City in the Mystic region, a group of experts was rushing over. At this moment, the woman in the lead suddenly halted. After that, the people behind her all halted as well. This woman exuded an unparalleled magnificence and looked extremely young, probably around 20 years of age. Her beauty could shock the world and her entire person radiated a holy glow. However, her cultivation base was extremely terrifying. She was actually a world overlord character. "Little miss, what happened?" An old man beside her asked. "Why?" The woman suddenly asked in a puzzled voice, causing the people in the surroundings to be puzzled. My intuition wasn't wrong. It's truly in Time City. However, why would someone else be able to activate it? That treasure belongs to me. The young woman mumbled. The old man beside her trembled. That treasure was activated by someone else? How could this be possible? After that, he smiled bitterly. Back then, his little miss threw it away willfully. Most probably, she didn't expect this to happen, right? Chapter 1770. In the 10 miles in, Qin Wenyan was still hugging Emo Qingqing. After a long time, Emo Qingqing actually fainted from the pain. That resplendent light also gradually faded away, leaving behind a pendant hanging around her neck. It was glowing faintly, but there was no aura emanating from it. It was as though it was just an ordinary pendant. What item is that exactly? Qin Wenyan stared at the pendant. This was a piece of jewelry from the Heaven Immortal Tower. Why would it resonate with Emo Qingqing? What exactly did she experience earlier? Also, when that phoenix robe appeared earlier, was it protecting Emo Qingqing? But what was going on with that resplendent light? He had no idea about all of this. Luckily, everything was over. Emo Qingqing only fainted and wouldn't have any major problems. After she woke up, she should know what exactly happened. Qin quietly stood by her side. The two of them continued to protect Emo Qingqing. Only on the second day did Emo Qingqing slowly wake up. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light as her entire person seemed to be enveloped by a layer of light. "Qingqing." Qin Wenyan called out when he saw her opening her beautiful eyes. Emo Qingqing gently smiled and spoke in a low voice, "I'm fine." That's good then." Qin Wentian's worried heart finally relaxed. His hand gently caressed Emo Qingqing's face as a radiant smile appeared on her face. "Qingqing, what happened earlier?" Qin walked over and asked in a light voice. A strange look flashed in Emo Qingqing's eyes. She sat up and glanced at the pendant hanging around her neck. With an intention of her will, the pendant directly fused into her skin, leaving behind a mark. A mysterious diagram appeared on her body and her entire person seemed to have changed. "Kiss of the demon god." Emo Qingqing murmured. "Kiss of the demon god?" Qin Wentian started. Emo Qingqing smiled. "This pendant is named the Kiss of the Demon God." "You formed a connection with it? What kind of treasure is it?" Qin Wenyan was truly curious. This pendant wasn't one of the ultimate treasures of the Heaven Immortal Tower. It was extremely ordinary and inconspicuous among the many treasures in the tower. It was only when Emo Qingqing activated it that a miraculous transformation happened to it. Emo Qingqing closed her beautiful eyes, and in the next instant, the radiance radiating from her grew brighter and brighter, illuminating the entire room. Countless runic inscriptions appeared, enveloping both Qin Wentian and Qin Air within. The radiance was so resplendent that it caused the heavens and earth to lose their color. In the center of the formation, a shadow gradually materialized behind Emo Qingqing. Or more accurately, it enveloped her entirely. That was an incomparably resplendent phoenix. Her eyes gleamed with sharpness as though she had a life of her own. This was a true phoenix. Disdain could be seen in her eyes as she stared at Qin Wenyin and Qing Er. She was like a true demon god. Qin Wenyan's heart pounded. The feeling this phoenix gave him was extremely powerful. That pendant was actually able to summon such a powerful ancient phoenix. Who are you guys? The ancient phoenix spoke, speaking in the voice of a human. Qin Wenyin, Mo Qingcheng and the others felt their bodies trembling as great waves rose in their hearts. This phoenix truly had a life of its own. Clearly it could think. If not, it wouldn't have asked them who they were. What treasure is this pendant? Why would it be activated by my wife? Qin Wenyan counterasked. His eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at the shadow of the phoenix. Your wife? The phoenix glanced at the beautiful woman she was protecting. The robes she is wearing are woven from the power of my bloodline. Hence, it can summon me and form a resonance with me. Where did you guys obtain this robe from? Qin Wenyan's heart trembled again. So it turned out that the summoning was really triggered by the robe. My mother gave it to me. Qin Wenyan spoke. The phoenix coldly glanced at Qin Wenyan. A powerful pressure radiated from her, enveloping the entire room. Her pressure similarly landed on Qin Wenyan. Qin Wenyan frowned. He released his powerful world heart as well, causing the entire space to be locked down. He stared at the phoenix and coldly spoke, I have no need to lie. You don't have a bloodline. The phoenix was similarly domineering. She coldly stared at Qin Wenyan. Her words might be a little vague, but Qin Wenyan instantly thought of his bloodline. Could it be that all of this had something to do with his mother whom he had never met before? I've died once before and my soul was almost shattered. I even lost my bloodline. Qin Wenyan spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, he released his astral soul. The phoenix stared at his astral soul and after that, the aura radiating from her weakened a little. She started to believe Qin Wenyan. If he didn't die once, it was impossible for him to have such an astral soul. It was impossible even if he reincarnated. Where is your mother? Who is she? The phoenix asked again. I don't know, I've never met her before. I grew up in a particle world and initially thought that I was an orphan. Only after that did I learn that I have parents. I also don't know where she is, whether she is alive or dead. Now that I'm already in the supreme ancient immortal realms, I will investigate this matter clearly in the future. If it was someone else asking him, he wouldn't have answered so clearly. But this phoenix's matter concerned his mother. Hence, he replied. Seems like your wife got lucky. The phoenix spoke in a low voice, gradually believing Qin Wenyan. Sadly, the spirit lord of this generation was a little weak. Qin Wenyan frowned. His tone was cold. If you are unwilling, I won't force you. I can sever the connection between you and my wife. What do you mean by this? The phoenix stared at Qin Wenyan. At this moment, a beam of light flashed as the figure of the Skybreak heavenly deity appeared. This caused the phoenix to glance at the Skybreak heavenly deity. She could sense an indescribable pressure from the Skybreak heavenly deity. Just a mere weapon spirit, what is there to be arrogant about? It's your fortune that she became your spirit lord. What qualifications do you have to say that she got lucky? The Skybreak heavenly deity coldly spoke. For you. The phoenix stared at the Skybreak heavenly deity. Skybreak heavenly deity. The Skybreak heavenly deity coldly spoke. Pay attention to your attitude when you speak. The phoenix suddenly laughed. She stared at Qin Wenyan. Seems like you aren't simple as well. You must have had extraordinary good fortune. Are you willing to stay or not? If you aren't, I've already said that I won't force you. You can sever the connection between you and my wife. Qin Wenyan spoke. He didn't wish for a spirit to be disrespectful to Qingqing. Not even the slightest bit of disrespect could be tolerated. How arrogant, as expected of a descendant of that clan. Fine, I'm willing to stay and serve her as my spirit lord, listening to her summons. A smile appeared on Qin Wenyan's face. Since this is the case, many thanks to Senior. This was how he was. If the other party was disrespectful, he wouldn't fear it. If the other party was polite, he would naturally return the favor, no matter who the other party was. Senior, what I said earlier was the truth. I truly have no idea who my mother is. Earlier, when Senior said that you are a descendant of that clan, which clan are you referring to? Qin Wendian asked. He didn't expect that there would be such a coincidence when he ransacked the Heaven Immortal Tower this time around. He actually encountered a treasure of his mother's clan and coincidentally formed a connection with Qingqing. He felt that the distance between him and his mother's clan should be very close. There's no need for me to tell you this. Not long in the future, you will know for yourself. The phoenix calmly spoke. Earlier, you weren't polite at all. Although I serve your wife as my spirit lord, I don't have to listen to your words. Qin Wendian awkwardly smiled. Mo Qingqing then asked, in that case, Senior, can I ask on his behalf? No, you are clearly trying to trick me. The phoenix spoke. I'm leaving now. If there's any need, just summon me again. As the sound of her voice faded, the shadow gradually dissipated. The shadow transformed into motes of light that flowed into the pendant on Mo Qingqing's neck. After that, the light sank back into her skin, leaving behind only a mark. There's actually such a mystical treasure. Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice. Seems like your background isn't simple. Although the Skybreak heavenly deity was very domineering earlier, when he stared at Qin Wendian now, he was also somewhat surprised. Even now, I have no idea about my background. I only know that I have a blood feud with my father's clan. I have to take revenge for this. Qin Wendian's eyes gleamed with a dazzling light. If you can become an existence like the imperishable Heaven Lord, what grudge can't you take revenge for? The Skybreak heavenly deity calmly spoke. I'm going to sleep now. If there's a need, just wake me up again. Qin Wendian nodded. The will of the Skybreak heavenly deity also vanished. In the room, only Qin Wendian, Mo Qingqing and Qing were left. Qingqing, do you feel anything different? He kept feeling that there was something different about Mo Qingqing. There seems to be a mysterious energy constantly tempering my body. Mo Qingqing nodded. This is especially so for the location of her heart. My heartbeat has quickened. Qin Wendian stretched out his hand and placed it on Mo Qingqing's chest to feel it. As expected, her heart was pounding unceasingly. There seemed to be a mysterious energy circulating within it. It should be the effect of the kiss of the demon god. This treasure is extraordinary. It might not be as simple as summoning that spirit body. Qin Wendian spoke in a low voice. However, he had no way to verify it now. Mo Qingqing nodded. She had the same feeling as well. Seems like this is an opportunity bestowed to me by Mother. Wendian, do you think Mother is watching you grow up? Qingqing suddenly asked. Qin Wendian's gaze turned misty. Mother, is she still alive? Father, what about him? He cultivated for 2 lifetimes. This is his second life. Is he still doing well? If she is watching, Mother would definitely be proud of me when she sees the 2 of you. Qin Wendian stretched his hands out and embraced Qing and Qingqing as he spoke gently. The commotion caused by the robbery of the Heaven Immortal Pavilions still persisted. Days passed by, but the bandits seemed to have evaporated into thin air. There was no way to find them at all. Most probably, the Dragon Pool Manor would never have imagined that one of the bandits was none other than Qin Wendian, who took away the golden branch from their Heaven Immortal Pavilion. They wanted to use a treasure as a price to capture him. But now, the treasure in Qin Wendian's hands wasn't merely a treasure from the Heaven Immortal Pavilion. As time flowed by, the date of the convention of the Myriad Realms got closer and closer. The atmosphere in Time City also grew increasingly intense. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.